Well, I'm live, and that was one of my shortest intros ever. And we're doing something a little different today. Actually, I've known him for quite a while now, almost since I started YouTube. And I didn't want to confront him right away and ask him if he wanted to talk about how his last year's been and how he made some positive choices after going through stuff in life that a lot of people, we either have close family or the like that have either gone down that road, still in that path, or on their way back up to a new and brighter future. And something like this, I don't really know how to say without sounding like I'm preaching the good word of Crisco. But I want to thank him before I bring him on for actually sharing his story today. And I hope a lot of people get something out of it. And a lot of people appreciate and respect what he has to share. And with that, I'm going to bring in the guy who literally messages me while I'm still sleeping about who he got killed by on Fortnite and how much he hates them. The man, Will Gentry. How you doing, Will?
Good evening, all. I'm very good, thank you, sir, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you for actually
It means a lot.
giving it to me. Wait, for sharing it with me. That was that. And we're already going down the awkward path.
I didn't even say anything, and you went there.
Yeah. Quickly, I would like to say Tickle Trunk, thank you for being a new member. I will definitely do something later on. Apollymy's Minion, thank you for being a member and showing up and being here. The Gilkman, thank you for being not just a member, also a mod and a good friend. We also have Terry Wilkin, thank you for being a member and a mod through everything going on. Zach7, the man who told me to reach out to Will, who is the viewer in question that I told you about, who's a member and a mod. Thank you so much. I am not clipping that. Get the hell away from me, Zach. It's not that time right now. And yeah, Will, I just why don't you give a rundown of not like the whole story, but why we came here today? And of course, hold on. Rowan Ginger Raven, thank you for also being a mod. Thank you for being here. But Will has a great smile. Who'd say no?
It's ironic that is, because I always hated my smile.
Yeah. Why is that?
I think it was a teeth thing, to be honest, because I used to suck my thumb when I was a kid, like all the fucking time. So I've got quite a big overbite. Plus, yeah, I was a fucking nightmare at cleaning them both when I was a kid and when I was a drug addict. So
okay.
They're not the best, not in the best of condition. A lot of them have been capped. So
we have Supreme Heretic in the chat saying Will is looking good. Hello, Drew. How are you? Where would you like to start off about this? Like, I don't know if a lot of people know their story, but a lot of people have reached out to you when you made a big choice. But the floor is yours, man.
It's one of those things, isn't it? It's like, where do you start? Well, most of these stories start in childhood. And there's only one thing I can say about my childhood. It was fucking perfect. Literally everything you could ever ask for. 2 loving parents, a loving and protective older brother. Everything I ever wanted. Well, not everything, but enough, from reasonable parents kind of things. Like they bought me a Mega Drive or Genesis, as you probably know it, for like the 12th birthday or something. So
yeah,
it was
it's pretty much nothing to complain about.
Yeah, it was very stable home, very lovely area to grow up in, lots of really nice friends and what have you. So yeah, I can't even blame it on childhood trauma. It's disgraceful.
Yeah,
I've not got that excuse. But yeah, my problem was I fucking enjoyed it too much.
You mean like you took it for granted?
No, no, I enjoyed drugs too much. That's why I kept doing them.
How'd you get into them?
Well, I'm going to get onto that in a moment.
No problem. Sorry.
No, you're fine, mate. You're fine. You're here to ask questions, and you'll probably remind me of a few things I meant to say and totally forgot about. But yeah, it was, like I say, I had a great childhood, normal teenage years, drinking, smoking a bit of weed, blah, blah, blah. And I can remember when I was about 18, friends who were a bit sort of wilder than I was had done hard drugs, not just smoked weed. And they said to me, this is like somebody who've known me my whole life, like my best friend now. You should try heroin. You'll really like it. And I'm like, yeah, I probably will. So I think I will avoid that at all costs, thanks. So I did for like 2 years. Avoided it like the fucking plague. I mean, I even had them come here when like my parents were away for the weekend or something and they had nowhere to go. They'd been out and had a smoke. So I'm like, yeah, you can just come and chill. It's just me and my mate just sat here getting drunk. Like my best friend from school at the time. He was the one who I got drunk with. Oh, we had some good nights.
Can you remember them though? So I guess the only good nights is the ones you could remember if you're going.
Well, no, that's what was good about them because the only thing you remember is what people tell you did the next day. That's the best bit.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, because eventually they start taking notes and pictures, like back in the day, like before they have like smartphone everywhere. That's
it depends what you got told, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like the long way. It's like the long walk home of shame, but is all over online and social media. You're like, okay, I'm just gonna like delete all my accounts for a couple months.
Yeah,
and focus on
I do remember when I think I was 15, getting brought home by the police because I was that drunk. That was a fun night.
For the police or you?
Well, for me, I mean, I can remember getting drunk, and I can remember the policeman trying to put me in the car and me saying, no, it's all right, I'm fine, my big brother's here, he'll look after me. And obviously my big brother had just fucked off as soon as the police turned up.
Oh, shit.
So he put me in the car, he took me home. I can't remember anything from that point on until the next day. And I said to my mum, well, at least I wasn't sick. And she just sort of looked at me and just goes, do you not remember diving for the waste paper basket? And I'm like, oh, shit. Apparently I threw up all over the fucking living room. But hey, fun days. But yeah, I mean, as far as hard drugs go, Class A drugs go, I had zero interest in them, none whatsoever. And it was purely by accident that I found out how good they feel. Because what happened was, when I was 19 and I was in love for the first time, so I was naturally high. I was young, I was cocky, I was naturally high on sort of emotion. And I had a girlfriend at the time, and I took her home at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And coming home, this is like it's 2:30 in the morning. Coming home that night, I can't remember this at all. I've got like a 3-day memory gap from sort of 6 hours before to 2.5 days afterwards. I had a 60-mile-an-hour head-on collision with another car, which is effectively like hitting a solid object at 120. So, that, how shall we say, fucked me up.
I have a thing to ask you quickly. TD is wondering if this is pre-recorded or live. So should we tell him it's pre-recorded, even though we just mentioned his comment?
Let's tell him
it's pre-recorded. It's definitely pre-recorded, TD. We didn't see you in the chat at all.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Yeah, this is a photo of the car that they cut me out of.
Right.
I'm sharing now.
Hold on. I'm having a, I don't know what's going on. Give me a second. Removing it.
No, it's fine.
There we go. Go ahead and talk about it.
Like I say, it was 120 mile an hour head on, and I broke both feet, both ankles, both legs, and my back all in one go, and gave myself a really good brain injury, which that's another story altogether. Which, I mean, obviously that's going to fuck you up for a while anyway, because like I broke both my everything from the waist down, so I couldn't walk for like 3 months while everything healed. So I was in hospital for like nearly 3 weeks, and as soon as I could get myself from the bed to the wheelchair, they sent me home because all I needed is time to heal. But yeah, if you look at this photo, you can just about see the front left wheel hub. So that's the passenger side. The dark bit, sort of in the just middle bottom of all the mangled metal. That's where the wheel should be. That's stupid cat. It seems it was front left corner that took the impact, but yeah, that's the Sorry, just keep sharing. I'll just change my pictures. That's that
Was-
side, and this is the driver's side.
Okay.
You can see again, driver's door and where the wheel should be. And yeah, that's the front of the car. I remember I got my dad when I was in hospital. I asked him to take these photos because I wanted to see what the car looked like. And he said, other than the time he was first told about the accident by the policeman who was waiting for him outside when he got home, that was the only time he couldn't stop his hands from shaking, seeing what I actually survived.
See, you can't even tell it's really a car unless you actually look at it. Like it, I'm trying to guess right here, but like the left, right there, where the hood is up, is that the steering wheel? Like with
Yeah, you can just see the steering wheel just sort of poking over the top where it's all crushed up.
Dude.
Yeah.
You got 9
lives. That steering wheel caused the next the injury I'm about to show you. It's the only upper body injury that I got, really. Because this is the photo I told you I was looking for. That's me in hospital after like a day or two.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. You can't really see it very clearly on there, but I've got a scar down the left side of my nose and underneath where I basically face butted the steering wheel, split my nose to bits, fractured my left cheekbone, and gave myself a brain injury. But yeah, so I split my nose into 3 bits basically. So apparently they had fun trying to stitch that back together, just trying to find where different bits should go. That's why, yeah, if you ever see me like sort of looking up, you'll notice that my nostrils are different shapes now because, yeah, it got torn apart and sewn back together. But yeah, that's in the period where I can't remember anything. I got my dad to take that photo because I wanted to see what I looked like.
Can I ask you a question with this then?
Of course.
Do you regret not having that memory attainable, or are you happier that it's not there anymore?
I'm happy because being able to remember that kind of impact, because I mean, the policeman who was first on the scene turned to his partner and said, "Fuck me, nobody has survived this."
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. So I'm happy I don't remember that because knowing me, what happened was coming home from her house, there's a bend that you could take at 60 miles an hour in the dry.
Yeah.
Knowing me, being 19, young, cocky, full of love, thinking I'm invincible, it was a bit damp that night. Knowing me, I probably thought, I can take this at 60 in the dry. Let's see if I can in this slightly damp condition. It's like 3 a.m. There'll be nothing coming the other way. Push come shove, I'll slide out the other side of the road. Worst case scenario, I'll hit the barrier that's there because there is one. It's like a big drop. And yeah, the other guy could remember it and said, I came around the road on my side of the road, came around the bend on my side of the road, obviously going a bit, and then slid out onto his side. So being in that position, losing control and seeing another car coming towards me effectively at 120, that would be fucking terrifying. So I'm very glad I don't remember.
I can kind of relate to a degree. Like I've shared stories with people before. I'm not trying to take it from you, but I was doing the bike messaging and stuff, right? When you get hit by a couple cars when it's not your fault, you start developing that sixth sense of paranoia and cautiousness, but you can't prevent it. And the thing with all of that happening is you're lucky. Honestly, I'll say you're lucky that you don't have that memory gap. That memory gap in general has probably saved you a bit of a trauma, of a PTSD event if certain things trigger it. I can't sit in like low end cars. Like my dad has a Camaro, right? And he likes to go driving in the summer where he did, right? Yeah. I can't sit in it because it's too low to the ground, and the way the windshield and the way you're facing the road at that level, it triggers that PTSD. So you're lucky because I start freaking out. I'm like, get me out of the car.
Yeah. So, no, the only moment I had like that is when I got a new car. My parents picked me up we went and like picked it out and bought it and everything, and the guy just had to do a little bit of work on it. And my parents came and picked me up from work, and instead of coming home, they took us to a car park, and I'm like, "Ooh, this is good. This means I've got my new car." And I got in it, started it up, and when I reversed it out the parking spot, I got a little sort of shiver down my spine, like sort of, oh, fucking hell. But that's the only moment I've had as far as driving or anything like that goes. So, yeah, I'm incredibly lucky. I mean, by all rights, I could I like to say should because it's more dramatic. But the truth is, I could easily have died that night.
You could have.
So, yeah.
No joke.
I mean, yeah, they said if I'd been in any other car that size, chances are I'd have been dead. But German engineering saved me.
Quick question from Zach's. He says, what kind of car was it besides recyclable now?
Yeah, I was going to say, broken one. Well, are you American or European, Zach's? Because
I think he's Canadian. I could be mistaken.
North American. It was a Vauxhall Nova, which is, not even sure what kind of American car to compare it to.
That's funny because we have a joke up here for the Nova. It's also French for no go.
Yeah. Well, it's a German car, strictly. Vauxhall's a German company.
So it's called a Boxster Nova?
Vauxhall. Vauxhall Nova. Yeah. It's just a little compact car, basically, two-door, little sort of compact car, I suppose is the best way you could describe it in American terms.
What the? Okay, I'll put your image right back, but
yeah, no. I was going to take that down anyway now because
is that it?
Yeah, exactly like that. In fact, that was almost identical to the second one I had.
And looking at this, that doesn't look anything like what you just showed us. Like,
no. Well, you've got to remember, yeah. I mean, if you sort of half the length of that bonnet or hood, as you'd call it, and make it all a big mangled mess of metal, then maybe you might see a resemblance.
All I see is it's something that protected your life in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it very much did. Like I say, I was very lucky. And it's crazy. Quite a thing to think back on now, because I can remember being laid in that hospital. That's why the other reason I'm glad I've got like a 3-day memory gap is those, opal. He's right. That's what they call it in Germany, on the continent, opal. Those sort of 2-3 days. The other reason I'm glad I don't remember them is because they were the most painful ones, frankly. I've got a couple of flashes of memory from being those first couple of days in hospital. And I can remember one of them was my niece came to see me and she refused to believe it was me because I just looked so different. Because I looked such a mess. Which was... Because her mum tried to get her to give me a kiss and the only part of me she would kiss is my hand. She daren't get anywhere near my face. Because it was so messed up.
Do things like that still bother you that your niece saw you like that? Or have things repaired over time?
She probably can't remember it, to be honest, now. She was very young. I mean, she was like, 4 or something at the time.
That's still crazy.
So even if she can remember it, it'll just be a sort of, oh, yeah. And rather than a sort of traumatic experience. So, I mean, we weren't very, very close. So it's not like it was, if it had happened to my brother or anything, because that would have destroyed her, because obviously he's a dad. But yeah, I can remember that. And I can remember saying to her, and this is quite mean of me, actually. I can remember saying to her, I can't remember what she said to make me say it, but I can remember saying, I'm probably in more pain just lying here than you will ever be in your whole life. So,
but you could be right at that moment. Maybe you didn't mean it.
Yeah, quite because possibly. I mean, I wouldn't be able to compare it to childbirth, for example, because she's got 2 kids now. But yeah, it's that just sort of laying there and that sort of pain just won't go away when literally everything hurts.
Is that the first flash you had? It's like that's one of the flashes when you first had some kind of coherent consciousness in the hospital. All you remember was your whole body going, not today.
Basically, yeah. I can remember. I think the first one was when I woke up in the middle of the night because my nose was all fucked up. It was completely scabbed up inside. I couldn't breathe through it, so I had to breathe through my mouth the whole time. And I can remember waking up, and I think this is my first conscious memory, not a flash.
Yeah.
But my first like properly like coming around memory is waking up and my mouth being so dry that it was painful, and everything's pitch black. I'm not sure where I am. I'm not sure what's going on. So I shouted like a few times, and eventually somebody across from me in another bed said, "You don't have to shout. You've got a button next to you." And I'm like, "Have I?" Oh. So clearly I think that was my first sort of conscious memory. I think I've got a couple that were just sort of flashes.
Yeah.
I can remember at one point reaching over the bed and grabbing the bag that was attached to the catheter that was attached to me, and sort of holding that up and just to make a stupid point to someone about being attached to it. But yeah, I think my first properly fully conscious memory, this was like sort of 2.5 days later, was waking up in the middle of that night and thinking, what's going on? Where am I? Why does my mouth hurt? Fuck me, why does everything hurt? So yeah, it was, like I say, it was quite the experience, that was. And I mean, that in itself wouldn't have been a problem, really. I mean, lots of people go through that, well, not that kind of injury, but injuries that are bad, and they heal and they get on with life and take painkillers whenever they need to and that sort of thing. And I was doing that. I was doing exactly that. I was back at work, although I shouldn't have been because I was still in too much pain. I ended up getting sacked from that. Yeah, that's a whole other story, that is. Sorry, I'm just complete tangent here.
Don't ever have to apologize. You have people here listening.
Well, the thing is, I went back to work after, I can't remember how long, but it was too early. And I was in agony every day because I broke multiple bones in both feet. We're talking like 20 in total in both feet combined.
Jesus.
So, just standing up was fucking agony, which would have been fine if it was a desk job, but it was a manual job. I mean, it was in an office, but it was a very manual job where you were on your feet all day. So, and literally every step's agony for me. Eventually, I just totally fucking lost my rag and ended up putting a broom through an 800-pound window. At which point, understandably, they're like, "Yeah, don't fucking come back tomorrow." So it was a bit of a shame.
Was it your choice to go back to work, or was it just that you couldn't stir crazy?
No, it was my choice because by that point, I'd had the 4 weeks of full pay and I'd had the 11 weeks of 75% pay.
Yeah.
And then it was 11 weeks of 50% pay. And I think I was in that zone and I'm like, I want more money. So I went back, yeah. I mean, ironic thing is, it was after that night when I put that broom through that window, the supervisor said to me, "I'll talk to you tomorrow morning." And it was that night that I sat down and talked to my dad, and actually it became evident that I shouldn't have been back at work anyway. It was too soon. So
you don't realize, though, the trauma or how much previous events have affected us until we're actually in an environment.
That was the first sign of the brain injury starting to manifest itself. Because that totally changed me. I mean, you know me now. I'm one laid back motherfucker.
That's a lie. No, that's a lie. We've all played with you once in a while, but I get what you're saying. You do seem very calm.
That doesn't count. Fortnite doesn't count. God damn it.
Your red face says otherwise, but I get what you're saying. You have this ability that you've come so far that you have no F's to give as long as the F's are about yourself and getting yourself what you think is the right thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, the only things that bother me now is if something happens to me or somebody I love, somebody I care about. And then you'll see, I mean, then getting angry at Fortnite will be nothing compared to that.
I know.
But I mean, generally speaking, if my attitude to it is, if it doesn't matter, hey, I stand with El Perro.
Hello, Snowdog.
Hey, Snow. My attitude towards it is, if it doesn't matter, I don't give a fuck. And most things I see in life and that happen around me don't matter. They're meaningless in the bigger picture of things. They're irrelevant. So I just don't care.
That's a brilliant thing, though. Like, why care about everything if it's only the major things that in life that you need to worry about are the only things you should focus on?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to let little things bother me when A, they don't affect me, and B, I can't do anything about them anyway. So why bother? I mean, it's like people getting really angry at what happened to Disney Star Wars. It's like, well, yeah, it's annoying, but what the fuck are you going to do about it?
Exactly.
Getting angry won't change anything.
Or taking Twitter for real life, or like
Yeah, exactly.
using, like, I'm guilty of that too. But like when
No,
it's part of the
we've all
content
done
creator.
it. Yeah, I mean, I've had a few arguments with people on Twitter, and you get to a point and it's just like, what the fuck am I doing? All right, mute this conversation. I'm going to go and do something else.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so yeah, I mean, yeah, that brain injury, it totally changed who I was. It turned me from the most laid back, chilled out person, sort of so laid back and horizontal kind of thing, to the most angry, aggressive, fucking violent tempered person you'll ever meet. I would snap like that.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that went on for like about 18 months, 2 years, and it scared the shit out of my then girlfriend, who that was the end of that relationship. And to be honest, apparently I found out recently it properly scared my mum as well. And she was never scared for herself, but because I'd never, even in that moment back then, I would never direct it at a person. I'd just be getting angry at things like punching doors and punching holes in walls and shit like that, which is.
Can I interrupt and ask a question quickly?
Of course.
Especially those for the chat that might not know, and if you want to share, what type of brain injury did you receive from the whole event? If you don't want to share it, don't go ahead. But it sounds like it really affected you on a level.
Here's the thing: I honestly don't know, other than it was an impact injury.
Okay.
Because the way the brain is like a wet sponge. If you get a wet sponge and you drop it on the floor on its end, you will see it deform as the weight and the momentum sort of squishes it down, and then it will go back to its normal shape. Yeah. The brain is the same sort of thing. I mean, it's I can't remember what this consistency of. It's like
malleable.
Yeah, it's like the consistency of an orange or something. So you can squish it, but it'll bounce back.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, my body effectively, because it's 60 mile an hour head on, it effectively went from 120 to 0 in a couple of meters, which, I mean, that's what broke all my bones and everything. But my brain is in to sort of squishy mum in a liquid coating inside my head. So what happened is, when you have an impact and your head, you sort of jerk forwards, your head gets stopped suddenly and face hit the steering wheel, and then it jerks backwards and hits the headrest. Your brain will hit the inside of the front of your skull, and it will keep going, and it will sort of deform, like it'll go sort of squish. And then when it goes back, it'll go the other way, and not as bad, but it'll deform a bit backwards, and then it'll just go back to its normal shape. Jeez. So it was, I don't know exactly what the injury was, other than just an impact injury. I mean, they did all the scans, and they said I have got a scar on my brain, but they thought that had been there since birth anyway. So yeah, but the other thing the brain injury triggered was epilepsy, which was fun, because that really scared my mum the first time I had a proper full grand mal seizure. Because having never had anything like that of any description whatsoever in my life, I suddenly am like thrashing about on the floor, foaming at the mouth kind of thing. That properly scared her. I can remember waking up from that in hospital, like just going, "What the fuck? Why am I here? What's happened?" And yeah, so that lasted for a couple of years as well, which was quite interesting. It was weird, really, because you can feel them coming on. You get this weird, they call it an aura. You get this weird feeling where you're like, "Oh fuck, I know something's going to happen. It might go away, or it might turn into a seizure." And the next thing you know, you wake up and you're fucking exhausted. All you want to do is sleep. So that was a fun couple of years. That was. Although the best one was when I was in the city, and this is like 98, 99 or something. So before the internet was as big as it is.
Yeah.
And before pornography, before Pornhub existed, I was buying some porn in the sex shop and had a full-blown seizure while I was in the sex shop. So that's quite an interesting one.
Damn. Quickly before we get into that, Zach says post-concussion syndrome can completely change your personality.
Yeah, it did.
Terry Wilkins says that would be scary. And Rowan says, "Yep, me too, Will."
Yeah. I mean, that's what the doctor wrote on the sick note for like the first couple of years until the epilepsy kicked in, until we knew it was epilepsy. He wrote behavioural change due to road traffic accident, which I didn't know would count as a sick note, but apparently it does, because evidently it's something they know about, something that does happen. So, I mean, the scariest thing about that is I didn't know it was happening at the time. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know why I was feeling that way. I just knew that I was fucking angry all the time. I was like a millimetre away from snapping the whole time. And that was, yeah. Yeah. Luckily, I've never seen one, TD. A few of my friends have seen them, and my parents have seen them, obviously, but I never have, thankfully. I've always been the one having the fit. So there's not much you can do. I mean, for anybody who doesn't know, the only thing you can do in that situation is just protect their head and just wait for it to stop. That's all you can do.
I had a neighbor once. I was well, he was like the next door neighbor. But he also, like, back in the day when I was still smoking pot, right? So he was technically a dealer, right? And he suffers from that stuff. And I was picking up one day, and all of a sudden, bam, he's having it right fucking in front of me. And I'm like, oh shit, what do I do? All I had to do was I had to move the fucking coffee table out of the way. I grabbed him, and I just I think he rested him, leveled, kept his head on the pillow, whatever was nearby.
Yeah.
And right away, 911 was on the phone, and I'm watching him, and they were walking me through the whole thing. When you're on the opposite side watching, it's there's not a word for it. It's just not scary. It's watching something happen that you have no idea how to handle or control, but you have to ride it through. It's like when you get dragged on a roller coaster and you hate roller coasters, and it's always, oh god, here's the first drop. It's the same apprehension.
Yeah. I mean, it's that sort of, it's when something is completely out of your control, and you know this is bad. You know this could get very, very, very bad, but you also know there's fuck all I can do about it. I've just got to, like you say, ride it out and hope that the carriage doesn't fly off the roller coaster. So, I mean, what my mum used to do was she would always just kneel down and just hold my head on her knees, and just let my body just do whatever it did. So,
TD says, as far as I know, when they have it, don't touch his arms and hands. They have so much power in that moment that it could break your bones in the worst case scenario.
Yeah, break your bones, their bones. Because the amount of force, I mean, if you think about it, a body has got a lot of power to it. And in the sudden jerk motion, it can break bones. So, I mean, if you punch a wall with every ounce of strength you've got, you will break your fingers, knuckles, wrists, whatever.
Yeah.
Doing that with all four limbs, yeah. So you best, like you say, anything that they might hit, if you can move it out of the way, like that coffee table, if you can move it out of the way, move it out of the way. Otherwise, just protect the head.
Yeah. Kate says, yep, also timing the seizures. It's so common, but very people know what to do. That's right.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do, and I just remember what, like, the basic thing is their head, and I think you see that within sitcoms or shows, or like just random things, and your memory just goes by what you think was the right thing to do. And God never held their hands.
Yeah.
How long? Okay, since you've already explained like the accident and how your childhood and life was, what was the point where you went down on a reliance?
Right. Well, that's about to come up in the story. That is. Yeah, this is all linear so far.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the epilepsy and the PTSD, like physical PTSD, it's not sort of traumatic. So, like you say, I can't remember the accident, so I didn't get any sort of psychosomatic PTSD. I got physical from the actual brain injury.
Yeah.
So a physical trauma rather than a mental one. Those two just they started before the habit, then sort of went on into it because they lasted a couple of years. What it was I was prescribed, I was in a lot of pain, as you know. So I was prescribed some very strong painkillers called dihydrocodeine, which they're one of the opium derivative painkillers, and they're pretty strong, as I say. And I was taking them like all day, every day for months, which is fine because I was doing it as prescribed. I was only taking them when I needed to, and I wasn't taking them at night because you can get hooked on them that way because they work the same way sleeping pills do, in that they relax your central nervous system.
Yeah.
So nurses in hospitals said, yeah, don't take them at night. Just sort of, if sleeping hurts, just fucking grin and bear it. So I was taking them as prescribed for ages, and that wasn't a problem. But I smoked a lot of weed at the time, and I don't know, I must have not smoked any for a long time, because I can remember if you smoke a joint, I can remember the day it happened. If you smoke a joint when you've had that kind of painkiller, it brings on the opiate effects, and it basically it brings on the heroin effect of the painkillers. So I smoked this joint and I felt something entirely different, and I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. So I said to my friend who'd done it before, is this what heroin feels like? And he's like, yeah, this is pretty much it. And being the bright lad that I am, my immediate thought was, fuck me, this feels fantastic. I have got to try heroin. So a couple of weeks later, I did. And yeah, the story was kind of written from that point. So yeah, it was purely by accident. Because like I say, I'd been offered it before when I was younger. And I'd always said no, because I knew what path it would take me down. And I didn't want to go down that path. I didn't want to touch hard drugs. And I stuck to that until I accidentally found out how good it felt. And all I'll say is there is a reason the word heroin is derived from the word euphoria.
Why is that?
Because it feels that fucking good, my friend. I'm not surprised you can get addicted after one fucking hit, because it just feels amazing. The best way you can describe it is it's like you're floating on a pink fluffy cloud that's massaging every part of your body inside and out, and it's drifting you away from every single problem you have ever had, and they're just getting further and further behind you, and you don't have to worry about any of it.
And the longer you use it, the shorter that cloud holds you up, pretty much.
Well, that's the problem is with all drugs, is you're constantly chasing that first high. And over time, I mean, when you first do it, it's like, oh yeah, all my problems, they're meaningless and nothing. As long as I've got this drug, I'm fine. But it doesn't make your problems go away. It just makes you forget about them. And those problems start to mount up gradually. And eventually you get to a point, every addict gets to a point where it's like, fuck. These things are now properly starting to weigh me down, and I can't, the pink fluffy cloud isn't floating me away from them anymore. So that's where you get into I need to buy more, or I need to find better stuff. And that's where the whole fucking, I need to go and rob old ladies so I can go and buy a shot stuff comes in.
Oh, crap. Quickly, TD, do they consist of ingredients whom are in crocodile? One of my best friends had a severe motorbike crash and survived, but has painkillers who have ingredients that are in that crocodile.
In crocodile?
I've never heard of that.
I've no idea what you're talking about there, TD, unless crocodile's an autocorrect for something.
And Master of the TDS, hello, nice to see you here. Welcome. And Terry Wilkins says, Cody knocks me out to the point of not being able to wake up for 24 hours. My mom shook me, and I still didn't wake up.
Yeah, that's just codeine. I was on dihydrocodeine, which is a lot stronger than just codeine. It's quite the thing. If ever you want a painkiller to get rid of all your worries, that's the one to go for. But I would strongly suggest you don't. Crocodile is a zombie drug. Unless that's what they call spice here, I don't know it. Because spice turns people into zombies here. It might just be a street name for it. But if it is the same thing, then no. If crocodile and spice are the same thing, then no, it's nothing to do with heroin. Nothing.
I think you're referring to, I think it's crocodile, Krokdil. If I looked that up correctly. It says if you have a weak stomach, don't look it up. I'm not going to go any farther than the correct spelling at this point, because thank you, TD, for that warning. And I'm not trying to make light of this either, but crazy story. Like when well, since you're sharing something, I'll share something. It's maybe not around the same thing, but I get the whole hospital thing, waking up and not knowing where you are. I don't know if you had a freak out ever when you're in the hospital, like you know what happened. When I was back in school, I'm not trying to sound selfish either. Like I'm not trying to take away from you. I got teased. I got teased a lot, right? With because my ears stuck out, right? So eventually, they put me in for surgery to get my ears pulled back. When they took me out, when I was coming to out of the whole the drug they put you under, it took about 4 or 5 nurses and 2 doctors to hold me down, and I was only like a 90-pound kid.
Yeah. No,
So, like,
thankfully, I'm obviously the kind of person who copes very well with sedatives, because I've had surgeries a few times, like on the legs and what have you, and I've had a couple of sort of outpatient day surgery kind of things where they've had to put me under. And every time I've come round from them, I've just been having a laugh, just chatting bullshit with whichever nurse is attending me at the time. I mean, talking like utter nonsense. And
so now you're trying to get on their good side for another free pudding. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, there's some of the things they must hear, because if you want something to take away your inhibitions, if you've got somebody and you want them to tell you all the secrets, give them a general anaesthetic and just wait for them to come round. They will tell you everything. It's quite remarkable how much they will share. But I never had that. I'm lucky in that way, I guess, that kind of drug never had that effect on me. I mean, to be honest, I love that feeling, waking up and your head's all fuzzy and you're just having a laugh, just talking bullshit with somebody. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's like uppers never interested me at all. I've done cocaine once and hated it. Never done ecstasy, never done speed. I'm just not that kind of person. I'm not at all interested in them. So
ecstasy. Well, I partied a lot, like in raves and stuff. So ecstasy was like kind of the thing going around. And you explained the same type of euphoric thing, except the only difference is you're not running around looking for a massage or wondering why your pants feel so great, or oh my god, why do your cufflinks look so shiny? Like that. There's definitely a difference there. But yeah, I get the euphoric feeling. Kate quickly wanted to say, I was concerned that happened to me, but I just woke up and complained about it being too bright.
Yeah, I've heard that one before, actually. People waking up saying, "Why is it so bright in here?" And the nurses are like, "Because it's daytime." So, okay. But yeah, I mean, like I say, it's different drugs affect different people in different ways. And my head's obviously wired in a way that when it comes to sedatives, more. But when it comes to stimulants, it's like, no, fuck off. I'm not interested. I don't care. I've just got no desire to do them whatsoever. Never have. So yeah.
Can I ask a question? It might sound out of place though. You eventually got that first experience of that euphoric feeling, and eventually you just wanted to get back to that first experience of the euphoric feeling. But yet you said that. Do you think after the accident, how you said like your whole childhood and your family was all very well done, very well taken care of? Do you think the car accident kind of swayed the image of how your life, how perfect it was beforehand, and that's why you were trying to see whether or not that could replace the happiness you once felt through the childhood?
I mean, maybe that's entirely possible. I have thought about that. So I was trying to think of reasons why. So I mean, like I said to you the other night when we were just backstage. I remember
means backstage in the Fortnite lobby or in a StreamYard's lobby. Nothing else, guys. Before those say stuff.
No, I said to you that I can remember a time before when I was using, but before I had a habit.
Yeah.
Asking one of my friends who had a habit what it feels like to go through withdrawal, and what it feels like when you get your first line of heroin, you get your first lungful, and it makes all that go away. And I can remember thinking when he told me about, once you have your first lungful, everything goes away and you just feel great again. I can remember thinking, fucking hell, I want that.
Yeah.
Why I think that, I don't know, because to get to there, I'd have to be a fucking smackhead. And I don't want to be, or didn't. Well, looking back now, I say I didn't want to be, but at the time I was clearly quite determined to be. So I don't know why. But no, I mean, to answer your question, I don't know. I do remember thinking at one point, basically, I can't remember if I thought I've got an excuse now. I've got an excuse now for being able to do nothing in life, or just thinking I'm not going to be able to do anything in life now. I've basically fucked myself up, and this is the end, effectively. It's just going to be sort of drifting from here on out. So I'm not sure is the honest answer to your question. And that might be part of it. That might be part of why I was just looking for something to take away. Because I mean, that's quite a scary thought. If at 19 you suddenly think, fucking hell, my life's over now. That's really quite a scary thought. So it might be that subconsciously, somewhere in the back of my mind, part of me was thinking, yeah, this hurts. I don't like this feeling. Let's find something that takes it away. So I found something incredibly powerful, like the sedative, the only natural sedative in the world. And threw myself headfirst into that. And
Who would want to put that?
For so long that by the time I got to the end, all those thoughts were so long in the past that they'd gone, basically. So,
but you kind of have a point there, and I'm not saying that I agree with like choosing what you did, but if a lot of people out there have the choice to throw themselves headfirst into a cloud of happiness, to give up a moment of how they are always either like feeling depressed, manic depressed, like unhappy, unsure, insecure, that one moment, it gives you a break.
Yeah.
And I'm not promoting the use either. I'm really not. That's what I'm trying to say here is that
no, I understand. I do understand. So, I mean, like I say, back in those early days, I was still going through that physical PTSD, and the epilepsy had just started kicking in, and I was still in pain at the time because the pain lasted a couple of years before it properly went away. So, I mean, that was probably the early days why I was so eager. The early days is probably I was looking for that escape from the trauma that I'd just been through. And this, because it was also a painkiller, primarily it's a painkiller, it took it all away. And the added sort of psychosomatic effects. It was just, I mean, this is entirely the wrong way to put it. You'll understand. It was the perfect drug at the perfect time for turning me into a drug addict. So
I don't think that's incorrect at all. It's the same trope as at the being at the right place at the right time. It's the same thing, although it was not the right thing. Maybe in a future aspect, it was there.
Well, yeah. I mean, at the time, it was the wrong drug at the wrong time. But I mean, looking back now, I mean, we're getting towards the end of the story here. Just a huge jump at the moment. I'll go back. I do look back on it now and think, well, it must have. I mean, there's got to be some kind of. I don't believe in fate or any of that bullshit. So I'm like, oh, it happened for a reason. I'm like, none of that. But I do look back on it now and think, yeah, it happened. I can either just be utterly ashamed of it and hate myself for it, or I can embrace it and try and use it to help other people not go down that same path that I did.
Mm-hmm. Terry Wilkins says, sometimes you want to have a moment of peace and not feel any longer. I think all of us have been there one time or another. And Zach says that makes sense, especially at 19. You're an adult, but don't have real perspective yet. We don't.
No.
You definitely had a case of mortality, though, but I don't think that was enough.
Yeah, I was confronted with my own mortality before my brain had fully had a chance to finish developing. So it's no surprise that it didn't cope with it in the best way. Yeah. And it turned to something that would just basically numb it and just make it feel good. So,
see, my ex was the same way, and she was so absorbed into not feeling whatever she never would share it. But she would never try to fix it either, and she would like get head over heels for like having the pills every night, having the ketamine on hand, and it got to the point where she was pregnant. She didn't tell me she was pregnant until about a month and a half in, And during that whole time, she was still doing heavy drugs. And when I found that out, it put me in a stupor that you reach that point looking for that happiness, looking for that numbness, that not feeling, that you don't realize or care about the other things that you're putting in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And it's not just mind blowing. It's sympathetic to understand that the need for that need is. Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
I mean, it's one of those things, that situation. It's one of those where you're like, you are doing an incredibly selfish thing. Think of that life that's growing inside of you. But on the other hand, it's like you're in so much pain inside your own head that you need that escape, which I can understand. I mean,
It's
I don't. Yeah, it is messed up, but it's sad, is what it is. I feel sympathy for that. I mean, I feel sympathy for myself 20 years ago, because there was obviously something there that was hurting, that wanted to be covered up, wanted to be numbed out.
Yeah.
And her way was ketamine, mine was heroin, or other people's is alcohol. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just finding your drug of choice just to block it all out. Even if you don't consciously think it at the time. Because I mean, at the time, I didn't consciously think, I'm depressed, I want something to take away my pain. I never once thought. I don't remember ever thinking that. But it's just obviously subconsciously somewhere, it was something in my brain registered, and it was like, oh, when I take this, I don't feel this bad. I don't feel these bad things.
The Band-Aid.
Please. So
quickly, McAnee Draws says, at least at your 20s, you think you know everything, but you know nothing. That is true. And Apollome's Minion says, I can totally understand. I went so bad that I ended up in a padded room.
Yeah. I know a few people who have Apollome's. It's I mean, like that sort of mental issue, mental illness. It's like drug addiction in that it was the side that society never ever talked about. It's like they were ashamed of it. It's like, no, we can't have this in polite society. I mean, especially in fucking English society, the whole fucking Victorian stiff upper lip, we carry on kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, no, there's no such thing as mental illness. Just pull yourself together, damn it. And if anybody's gets addicted to anything, it's like, oh, they're obviously just a waster. Just put them in prison. And that's the worst possible way to handle these things.
Psychodorf 9. Sorry, I did this right because everyone else does. Psychodorf 9. I'm not shouting because I don't want to take away from Will. Is being manic depressive since the age of 12. I'm hip. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Hi, Kylo.
That's quite an achievement. You should be proud of it.
It is, because that's one thing from this. Like, as much as we talk about the dark stuff that's happening, especially with you, is that life experience in general still makes you the person you are today. Without that, you wouldn't be that person.
Yeah, that's why I'm not upset about it. I don't like it. I don't like that I wasted like over half my life just smashed out my face on like one of the world's most powerful drugs. But it did turn me into the man I am today. And aside from a few things, I do really like the man I am today. So
I do too.
Oh, sweetie.
Okay, now I don't like it so much.
That's one of the things that I always was very proud of, actually, all through my drug use. Is I mean, it was easy to do this because I always had money behind me from my parents, from my mum. But I never stooped into anything illegal. I never swindled my friends or robbed any houses or did any dealing or anything dodgy like that. And I've always kept my morals, always kept. So, I mean, one of the people at the rehab I got kicked out with, one of the people there, one of his stories was he was at a house party and he went upstairs and a group of his friends were, how can I put this? A group of his friends were, how shall we say, I can't think of a good way to put that. A safe way to put it.
Take your time.
The group of his friends were giving a young lady a time she really did not want. Let's put it that way. He opened the door, saw this happening, closed the door, went back downstairs because he wanted to keep partying. I would never have done that. None of my friends would have done that. This is my drug using friends. If we'd been at a party and opened the door, and I mean, particularly one of them, opened the door and seen that, it would have kicked the fuck out of those kids for doing that to that poor girl.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, yes, the point of that story is I was always very proud of myself that I kept my morals. I never sank into that sort of, I've got to do anything, I'm willing to do anything, I'll turn a blind eye to anything because drugs are more important to me.
Kylock, I don't know if we have the answer to that, but your best bet is probably reach to your physician and then ask them to get maybe an evaluation if you trust that. Because we are both not health practitioners. We're just sharing stories, and Will's sharing his.
Yeah, the best way, I mean, from an amateur point of view, the best way would be just talk to your doctor.
Mm-hmm. And Psychodorf 9 says, I've also been thrown out of psychologist's office because these people who need me, you're managing nicely. That is such a trope. That bothers me because I know people and I've heard that statement. They're saying your problem isn't worth enough of my time and money. There are more people out there that will probably be more beneficial. I think that's
I've actually, now I think about it, I've had a similar, because I've had a psychiatrist who I've had, God, 20 odd years now, 23 years. Thank you, Terry. I've been seeing him since 1998, so like just after my accident. But he's private, so he costs a lot of money, but he's wonderful. We get on fantastically. But in that time, I also saw NHS psychiatrists. And basically, every time I went to see one of them, it was right, okay, this is what I think. These are the people who can help you. Contact them. There's nothing I can do for you. You're the fucking psychiatrist. This is just like some weird group thing that's not trained people. You're the one I want to talk to. And he's like, well, yeah, you could keep coming in and we could just have a lovely chat every week. But there are people, sort of, like I say, there are people who need more help than you do. At which point I'm thinking, motherfucker, I need lots of help right now. I can't deal with this shit. And you're telling me that I seem fine. So I'm like,
It's like they all have those notepads and taking all those notes, but they can't write themselves a clue.
I mean, I can understand it to an extent because, like I say, that was the NHS and they have limited money. The thing about the private guy is he gets 120 quid an hour, which is probably in your money, probably about $200 an hour.
I couldn't do that, no.
Yeah. So yeah, he doesn't have to worry too much about that. He's not got limited funds or his time is only limited by as much money as he wants to make.
Yeah.
So he hasn't got a budget he has to work to. So I can see it from both points of view, but yeah, that's the side of sort of government healthcare that really bothers me, is the sort of patch you up and kick you out the door kind of thing, especially with mental issues.
Yeah, it kind of also feels like that the government, like there's people out there that are trained or go to school to do a certain job or offer a certain service, that they get to dictate how much care you deserve, whether or not you fall into the category of their ears to listen, but they don't see the human.
This is the very reason that drug services never worked for me. I've been in and out of the Sheffield Misuse Team, which is basically Sheffield Drugs, that's the city I'm in. Basically their drug service, in and out of that for years, and it never ever worked. I mean, to be fair, I never really put a full effort in. But anytime I did try to put some effort in, they were like, all right, I can see you want to do this. Jump through this hoop, 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 and this hoop, and maybe we can talk. And by the time I jumped through like the first two hoops, I've got to the point where I don't fucking want to do this anymore. I just want to go and get high.
Dude, I have a sorry, man. Take it. I want to ask a quick question. When you say Sheffield, you're not referring to Mr. Sheffield, are you?
No, I am not.
I'm sorry, I had to get you to smile a little bit. Sorry.
No, I'm referring to Steel City, Sheffield.
Okay.
Our steel was world famous. We don't really make it much anymore. But if you've got anything, if there's anything in America that was built in the 19th century, chances are it's got Sheffield steel in it somewhere.
Yeah.
Government run, yeah. I mean, that's why there was a time a good few years ago when I came very close to being ready to go to rehab. And I went to the drug services and I'm like, I need to go to rehab like yesterday. And they're like, whoa, hold your horses there. You've got to do this, and this, and prove to us the thing. I'm like, for fuck's sake, what do you want from me?
What
And
did
it
you have
really
to
pissed
do?
me off. It's just basically they want you to basically be sorted out before they send you to rehab. They want, unless they're going to send you to a hospital for 2 weeks to do the detox first, they want your 3 clean tests. They want basically your life in control. So that when you go to the rehab, you can basically learn to reintegrate to society rather than learn to not live with drugs. Which, if you ask me, is pretty fucking stupid.
That is pretty
I mean,
fucking stupid.
Yeah, I get the whole reintegrating people into society. I get that. That's very important. But expecting people to be basically okay when they go there, just effectively more like a binge drinker than a full-time alcoholic, that sort of deal. It's like, who the fuck?
Can I ask a question with this? Is this pretty much sounding like we want you to get back into society just so you can pay taxes, but still have payment for your drug habit, pretty much. It's like saying, as long as you can work at a job and help pay your taxes, we don't really care how much you're doing on your off time.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean,
that's fucked up.
I mean, I get, like I said, with the mental health stuff, I get it that they've got a limited budget and they can't just send anybody to rehab who says they want to go. But it really fucked me off because the woman whose decision it was as to whether I could go, she's like, oh, well, I want to see like commitment. I want to see certain levels of improvement each time I see you. So the next time I went to see her, I had this list of things that I'd achieved. I can't remember what was on it, but it's like, I think it was 9 things that I'd done and I'd felt good about. Yeah, they weren't huge steps, but they were progress and I was happy about it. And I went in there feeling great. And she fucking tore me down so much. I came out of that room nearly fucking crying. Her basic response was, well, that's nice, but why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? Why haven't you done the other? And I'm just like, she even had a trainee in there. And I didn't say it actually, but I can remember thinking, I should say to him, never do this. She is shit at her job. Don't do what she does.
Okay.
So I went in there feeling great. And if she'd said, yeah, that's a good start. Let's see if we can build on that. I would come out of there feeling good and who knows what would have happened. But I went in there and basically got, yeah, all right. And what about the rest? Fucking pull yourself together, you little bitch, kind of thing. So yeah, that was fun. That was one of my experiences working with the NHS drug services that are a fucking waste of time, if you ask. By the way, just quickly, I looked it up, and crocodile is desomorphine, which is a semi-synthetic opioid. So yeah, the zombie drug is an opiate, TD. I think it's TD.
Yeah, it was TD. Quick thing I can say is quick sign like that because you're fidgeting a lot. Have a sip of tea right now, and take like 5 seconds. Just I don't want to push you into this story. Like
no. It's fine, mate. Don't worry.
If you start picking your nose, I'm going to ask what song you're going to play for us. I'm just going to say that now. Thank you. That just made it weird. But I want to get this quickly.
I was scratching it when I did that. I was
scratching. Yeah, that's what Jerry Seinfeld said as well. Brett Cohen says, I found drug psychologists use this as they're trying to help when they've no real understanding. I was lucky to find one that had walked the path and could guide me back to sobriety. Yes, there's that aspect too. Pay to play. That sucks when your life and addiction sounds like a loot box system in a free-to-play game for your phone. That's fucking sad.
Yeah, I mean, what Brett just touched on there is very important, and it's one of the good things about the recovery group I'm part of. It's what's called a LERO, L-E-R-O, a LERO. lived experience recovery organization. It's run by former addicts, and it's full of former addicts. So it's all people who have lived that life and they know what it's like. Because that's the problem. If you go to drug services, you'll get somebody who's trained in it, but they've never lived it.
Their
so they don't know
textbook.
what it feels like. Yeah, they know all the text, but they've just not got the experience.
Yeah, because a book isn't reality. It's actually just taking circumstance and making a generalization of what the one thing is, when a human being or human beings is a difference across the board and everything is different. Just because it's an addiction doesn't mean everything is the same similarity of why it's happened, what is the cause, and what is the outcome.
Yeah,
You're brilliant. You know that, right?
Yeah, it's the same with psychologists. Thank you. It's the same deal with psychologists. A lot of them will know the text, know the literature, but they've not been through it. Yeah, like tramadol. Yeah. They've not been through it. They've not experienced it. They've not had their own depression or their own traumas or whatever. So they can sympathize to a level, but they can't really empathize in that sort of I've experienced this kind of way. So
it's like living your life in another person's shoes. You can only listen, but you can never adapt yourself because you're not them.
On that very thing, actually, I met a girl once who was training to be a therapist or a counselor or something.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me something that really stuck with me, which was something her trainer guy, the person who was teaching her, had told her. She said, when you're a counsellor, it's like walking in somebody else's shoes, but wearing your socks.
I wouldn't want to give anyone my athlete's foot. That's nasty.
That's why you wear your socks.
I like that, though. That's pretty cool. You're pretty much wearing someone else's shoes, but you're still, that's fucking good.
Yeah, no, that stuck with me, that did. It was really, it just made sense.
Yeah. Zach says quickly, lots of psychologists I've met aren't very social. No. And Psychodorf 9 quickly props in saying every human and therefore that human's problems are unique.
Yeah.
Yeah. Addictions are unique, like a personality.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. It's everybody's life experience is unique. Even if you get two twins who are basically brought up exactly the same way, their life experiences are unique. They've each had things that others haven't had. Like, I mean, you and me, for example, we've had very different upbringings, different continents, for God's sake. So, and they're going to create entirely unique people. So to think that you can treat basically the world's mental problems by having sort of 10 tick boxes, that's just ridiculous.
It's also selfish. You're categorizing. That naive too. But if you're categorizing every person not as unique but as a category, you're pretty much putting them in like a column of a Jeopardy quiz game.
Yeah.
And you're just going by the tiers of 100, 300, 500, and so forth. And that's
the problem with government-funded healthcare. Is it's not about the person; it's about the figures. It's all about how many tick boxes they fit and this and that. And it's because they've got limited funds and they're always trying to get more. It's how many tick boxes can I put this person in to try and get us more funding next year, which is sad. I mean, private healthcare is fucking ridiculously expensive, but you get what you pay for, to be honest.
Psychodorf 9 says quickly, we are not tick boxes. No, we're not.
And we're not tick boxes either. You missed the K off that. It's an entirely different kind of box there. But a tick, like burrows into your skin. Tick. That's how you spell it.
Oh, okay. We're having a grammar lesson. I get it. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Well, you think I'm going to miss an opportunity to give somebody...
No. But, how hard it's been me holding back, not saying, why are you wearing the colors from Diva and from Overwatch? And, you would rock a Diva cosplay pretty good because pink and blue suit you. Look at that awkward silence. I win.
I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is, but I feel incredibly flattered by it. But yeah, I mean, it's like I say, that's a difference. Well, one of the differences between public and private healthcare, and there's never going to be anything we can do about that. It's just the nature of the beast, sadly.
Well, you kind of you've kind of given option. You mentioned the LER program, the Lero program,
Yeah.
and it means you have to go outside of like looking at the titles, whether it be psychologist or psychiatrist, as the things that are supposed to be handling, excuse me, those types of situations, and look at the reality of the people who have lived through it, because the people that live through it are able to understand a lot better, and they will actually provide the one thing that a lot of people are looking for when they're reaching out, and that is eye contact and looking at you as a human, not as an hourly paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been going for a few months because I've only been out of rehab for a few months. But we've had a number of newcomers come in there, and they've all basically said the same. First time I walked in, I was worried I was going to be judged. But, oh, that little hottie. Oh, I'm very flattered.
Yeah, you should be. You were literally wearing the same color scheme. That's what I'm saying.
Nice.
You're a diva, Gentry. You're a diva.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, we've had a number of newcomers come in and say, like, obviously everybody's nervous first time they come in. Almost always the second time they come in, the one thing they say is, I was really worried I was going to get judged. But I came here and everybody was welcoming and nobody judged me. Everybody listened to me and was sympathetic. And that's what you get from a group of people who have been there and done it. It's like they said in rehab, we're all in the same boat. We just took different paths to get there. Some of us were alcohol, some were cocaine, me was heroin. We're all in that same boat of we've got a fucking problem. We just, a different path to get there. So, yeah, I mean, that's the good thing about, I mean, it's like that's the same with fucking AA and NA. I don't like them at all myself, but I won't knock them because they do a wonderful thing for so many people, because they bring all these different people together who have got this one huge thing in common. And it's a place where they can talk about it and talk to other people who will understand. Because as many doctors as you talk to, chances are none, if any, very few, most likely none, have had any form of addiction problem. So, I mean, they can understand the science behind it, but they've not got that lived experience. And that's what makes a difference. That's what makes groups like NA and the group that's Narcotics Anonymous, for those who don't know, and the group I go to, that's what makes them what they are, is it's people can connect because they've all been there. They all know what it's like to have that kind of trauma in your life.
Can I ask a question, Will?
Of course.
I want to ask as a friend, more or less. You came to YouTube eventually for some reason, and eventually we were popping up on panels, but was YouTube part of the reason why you decided to get clean or wanted to be the Will Gentry you wanted to be? Or was it still an escape mechanism that finally slapped you into the reality that you wanted to get better?
Neither.
All right, I'm suck as an interviewer. I'm out.
Bye. No,
we're not leaving. No, we're not
leaving. It was an escape.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Because you're describing another type of addiction right here, too.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, it was an escape from my escape, effectively. Yeah. My escape had got to a point where it was no longer an escape. It was a burden, and I wanted to escape that. And the way I did that was online. At first, it was Facebook, just talking bullshit with friends on there. Then, I don't remember how or why particularly, but I stumbled on the whole post-Last Jedi thing. I mean, like everybody doing the fandom menace. I just stumbled on the post-Last Jedi videos, and I found Jeremy, and I found Anna. Anna had like 300 subs when I found her. She was a tiny channel.
Why you're so funny? I found ads through when he was still doing Warcraft videos, and that's how I found Nerdrotic and everyone else. And if you go back far enough, he used to do Loot Crate videos when he had the hole in his ceiling with a garbage bag, and he'd give updates, got not still hole in my ceiling, and he goes, and you see him now, and it's like, shit, but it's like we all seem to have the same type of group of people. And the Last Jedi thing wasn't even the first thing. It was like hearing adults talk about, like, yeah, I'm gonna say this right now: comic books, toys, hot toys. It's still an addiction, but it's a fun addiction. But yeah, Go on with the
Yeah.
last. I'm sorry. I just.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. There is that side to this sort of little community.
I want you to read this because $10 just came from Zach. So you guys really didn't have to. I wasn't expecting this, but I'll split it with Will. I'll buy him like a crumpet or something, you know, when we ever meet up. But thanks to Will for sharing his story live on Twitter. It made a difference, and he did say earlier, "Don't make me cry, man. It's not fair." Will's supposed to cry, but he's had friends or family that has gone down the road you've gone on, and they have not been able to get out of it.
Yeah.
And I want to give you a laughter video, but I don't want to take away from Will's thing. So it's up to him whether or not he wants me to give him a super chat video.
You can go ahead, my friend. Go ahead.
Is there anyone you like specifically that I do a lot? Actually, hold on. I got the perfect one. No. Give me money. Because Fortnite, you know. And we got a good smile out of you, bro. That's it. Like, well, Kate's right. You do have a great smile.
Well, yeah, I mean, you asked me that question, and my first thought was, I don't fucking pay that much attention, god damn it.
Wow. Thank you for being a mod on the channel, Explorer number 2. And then Zach says that's the one.
Zach's, I'm glad it did. That's why I did it. I mean, that's one reason. Like I say, I'm not ashamed. Even when I was an addict, I wasn't ashamed to say I was an addict. It had never come up within this community. So I'd never mentioned it. I mean, the only person I'd said it to, I think this was before I was talking to you and I think YetiCast, and I happened to mention it then. Just because,
Proper, yeah.
Well, yeah, it was in that stream, but I think Proper had gone by then. I think it was just the three of us at that point. Anyway, it had just never come up, but it naturally came up in that conversation, and I wasn't ashamed of it, so I mentioned it. And the only other person I'd mentioned it to before was Rosetta. That's purely because I love her so much. I really do. We were having a conversation, and she probably doesn't, but the way she was talking made it sound like she thought she knew more about addiction than I do. And I'm like, I've got something to tell you. I'm just like, yeah, did you know I've been a smackhead for the last 20 years? And she's just sort of, oh, wow, that explains a lot.
It was that awkward, like, oh, I didn't know that. There's the door. Here's your sign. Oh, my God, where's my gift bag?
Yeah. But no, I mean, going back to your question, YouTube, it was an escape. Because I'd been, like I say, my escape, it was like 2011. My friend forced me to go on Facebook. He made an account for me because I'd always said no. Up until that point, I was just playing stupid flash games on the computer just to waste my time all day, every day. So yeah, I spent a good few years just talking absolute shit with absolute fucking morons on Facebook, as you do. And I was bored of it. And I was only talking to like 5 people now, people I'd actually become friends with. And yeah, like everybody, I'd go on YouTube every now and then. And I happened to go on one day, and like I say, I can't remember whose video I found first, but Jeremy's was one of the early ones. Anna's was one of the early ones. And it was like 6 months after The Last Jedi. And something about that film, it never sat right with me, but I could never work out what it was. Then I saw all these videos talking about what was wrong with it, and I'm like, fuck, you're right, aren't you? And it was just through that naturally then, because I saw Jeremy, you get links for like World Class Bullshitters and Ethan and High Council, and just it branched out from there, like fucking Odin and Drunk, and Ryan Drunk showed up, and Ryan showed up, and Lethal, and all those fucking heroes. So yeah, it just became an escape, and I had a Twitter account, I just never used it. So I started following all these people on Twitter, and now I've got more friends on Twitter than I ever had on Facebook. So
I don't know whether we should be sad at that or proud of that, because that's like Twitter's that thing where we're always criticized. It's like, I have 1,000 friends on Twitter.
Here's the thing about Twitter is there's nothing wrong with Twitter. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's how you use it.
Yeah.
The way I use it is I will talk to my friends and I will not talk to retards.
Whoa.
I don't have a problem. I won't talk. If somebody's being an idiot, I won't talk to them. If I'm talking to somebody and they start being an idiot, I will stop talking to them. It's as simple as that.
TDS. Will you?
No, I haven't. She's gone and put it on her YouTube channel where you have to be a damn member to be able to use it. So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it basically, like I say, I started adding all these people on Twitter and just basically got talking, started watching videos and following live streams and stuff and just having a laugh. And I think, I don't know how much that actually have had an impact on it. It might just be purely coincidence. It might have happened anyway.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, yeah, the way I actually stopped was, I mean, like I said, we're jumping right to the end here. The way I actually stopped was I wanted to stop. I ended up using for 22 and a half years from first trying to last stopping, actually a bit more than that. And the way I stopped was basically for the last 10 years, I had wanted to want to stop, but I'd never wanted it enough to actually do it. So for all that time, it had been like, yeah, I know I've got a problem. I know I should do something about this, but I'm happy. I'm comfortable. I'm in the house I grew up in. I've got every creature comfort you could imagine. I've got fucking satellite TV on the go. I'll get somebody else pays for literally everything, including my drugs. So I had zero concerns and therefore zero motivations other than what came from within me to actually stop. And that's why it took 22 and a half years for me to actually get to the point where I'm like, okay, this is it. This is enough. This is time. Now is when I'm going to do it.
And what time was it? What was the point?
It was the middle of February this year. That's when it happened. That's when I finally got to the point and I looked around and just thought, right, if I'm ever going to do this, now is the time. This will be the best chance I ever have. Because the way I used to use is I would deliberately buy the cheapest, weakest, nastiest stuff I could get and the best, strongest, best stuff I could get. So that during the day, I would use the really cheap, nasty stuff. And at night, when I wanted to feel it, just to tide me over. And at night, when I wanted to feel it, I'd use the good stuff. So I did that for years and years and years.
Can I ask a question with that?
Just in a second. Then I ran out of the good stuff about 6 months before I got to February. And I just never bought any more. So when I got to February, I looked around and thought, my tolerance is probably the lowest it's ever going to be in my life. Because I was about to run out of that stuff. And the person I got it off, I couldn't get hold of. So I just thought this is probably the best chance I will ever get. So it's time. Let's do this.
Okay. I want to ask a question quickly with that, the way you're describing it. Do you think, I don't know if it was subconsciously or consciously, do you think the reason why you did the shitty stuff during the day and saved the best stuff for night is because you wanted to end the day on a high note every time?
Probably part of it, yeah. I mean, to be honest, the biggest reason was I didn't want my tolerance to get that high. Because whether I had good stuff or bad stuff, I would smoke the exact same volume every day. Which is first thing I'd do when I wake up in the morning is I'd pick up the foil and I'd start smoking. And it would be the last thing I'd do before I went to sleep at night. I never even put it away, ever. The closest I ever got to putting it away was I had it on this big book, like this huge, great hardback, A4 size hardback book. I would always have the piece of foil and the lighter on top of that book in front of me, and then the computer just the other side of that. And that book never, ever, ever got put away. The closest it ever got was when I went to bed, because I spent all my time sat on the bed. When I went to bed, I would just move it off my bed and just sit it on top of the bin next to me, and it would sit there while I slept. And the first thing I did when I wake up is just literally just reach down, grab it, pick it up, put it back in front of me, pick up the foil and light it.
You're kind of describing the way I used to I did that with pot. Like a lot of people say pot's doesn't develop an addiction. You can, or a reliance on it. And that'd be the thing with me. I would have it out. The first thing I do is wake up, brew coffee, pour my coffee, smoke my joint, go in, and then I would do it every time I had a break in a game. It would be like between matches, I would have another half of the joint, put it out, go back into it, and you develop that routine without even realizing it because you're trying to maintain that. Like for me, it was the body numbness, the calmness of not having the anxiety. So for you, I begin to understand it a little bit more. It's just set up, and you're setting up the way you set up a dinner plate. You have the placemat out, which is your foil. Then you have everything set up like your fork and knife, and you're preparing for the meal ahead. And that's fucked
exactly.
up.
It's I mean, like I said, that's one of the reasons why I deliberately wanted to get weak stuff, because if I was just smoking the good stuff all the time, it's then impossible to ever feel it, because your tolerance is so high.
Yeah, you're smoking more and more.
I mean, it's weird, because when I was taking like the world's most powerful sedative, I could stay awake for 70 hours without a problem. I'd then sleep for like 20, but I could stay awake for that long. Now, when I'm clean and I'm not taking the world's most powerful sedative, anything past about 20 hours and I'm dead on my feet. It's weird.
Or in someone's StreamYards, or in their game.
Well, yeah, I mean, a couple of times. But
thank you for not looking away and maintaining eye contact with that.
Hey, at least I remembered to mute myself the second time.
The second time. The first time all you hear, but I won't hold it against you.
Hey, I'm not the only one.
I'm glad that you were maintaining the trope that FAT-STEVEN is a provocation to narcolepsy. It's fantastic. But going, sorry, get back to you. I had to make a little humor in there. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, mate. You're fine. But no, I mean, like I say, it got to the point where even because I've been doing it for so long, even smoking the shit stuff most of the day, I couldn't get high. I've not been able to actually feel high for for several years now. Not properly felt high. The only closest I ever got to actually feeling high over the last several years is when you get to that point where you're so tired that your head just feels like it's spinning, and you just wherever you are, you're about to just fucking and just fall asleep. That's the closest I ever got for the last few years to actually feeling high, was when tiredness was the main reason for it.
Yeah.
So it was clearly to the point where, why am I even doing this? What's the point? So
eventually it came a realization where the drug addiction itself became boring because the euphoria became boring because it took too much to get there, too much work.
It became boring a good probably 10 years or more ago. But after that, it was my security. It was my comfort blanket. It was what I was familiar with. It was what was comfortable. So that's why I kept on doing it, because it was what I knew. It was safe. I didn't have to worry about anything. I had no responsibilities on my shoulders. I could literally just carry on coasting through my adulthood. I'm not giving a shit about anything other than that little gnawing, nagging thing inside my head just saying, you're wasting your life here, kid. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about this? And I managed to keep that at bay, like I say, for a good 20 years in total, but probably a good 10 years too, from when it actually properly started making itself heard. So
Kate says quickly, there's a lot of things in life like that, Will. Sucks.
Yeah, I know.
And,
it really is.
Sorry, Brett Cohen says pot has no addictive aspects, but what they don't tell you is that the chemicals added in the modern day do. The CBD, which limits a high, is also bred out of modern stains, or I think he means strains. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But Brett, I can put it this way: I wasn't addicted to the high. I was addicted to the fact that I could use pot to focus in on doing something else without worrying about the herniation in my spine when I stood up. The anxiety when I had to go to the mall and I was feeling like everyone was looking at me. Music was another thing I had in my ears all the time. Everyone's reliance or niche of use, it doesn't matter what they're using. It's used for a certain aspect and it's not always the same. That's where Psychodorf 9 said everything's unique. And I want to give you a special one. The Gilk man who usually supports everyone and has shared a lot of himself over time. And I'm lucky. We all, a lot of us are lucky we know him. He says, much love. We love you, Will. Much love to you.
I love you too, brother.
See that?
That man's a star. I love him so much.
He is a star in his own way.
Well done what Brett just said. Yes. Back in the day, back when I used to smoke it, there was nothing addictive about the pot itself. But
Except
it's
hunger.
like melatonin. It's like melatonin. People say melatonin is this wonder drug. You can take it to sleep, and it's got
Nope.
no addictive properties to it. It's like, yeah, okay, it's got no physically addictive properties, but mentally, you can get very addicted to it very easily. And same with pot. If you need it to cope for whatever reason, then you can become mentally addicted to it. But also what he said is true about modern strains. They have a lot more stronger chemicals in it than it used to back in the day.
And Kate adds another one. It is the routine. It's like smoking, where you're used to drinking your coffee and having a cigarette. When you quit smoking and you're having that coffee, you're wondering why there's something missing, but it's not the 2 creams or sugar. It's the fact that you're not bringing the little V fingers to your mouth and going, yeah, you know, it's the same thing.
Yeah, the thing that's missing is you're not coughing the lung up.
Or it's like, lung butter. Let's get some toast.
Oh,
yeah. I'm sorry.
I was like I say, I was smoking basically all day, every day for 20 years. Some of the stuff that's come out of my lungs is quite impressive. I can tell you that now.
And Shay brings it back to a weird off the rails subject. Just be happy neither of you are like a guy in Japan that died from nothing too much. Honestly, that's the best way to go.
I was going to say,
that's the best way. Maybe not the people who find you with like your hands caught in a weird cylindrical rigor mortis. But hey, if I die on the finish, I'm happy. It's not like my uncle.
It's not like I want to go out.
Yeah, well, it's not like my uncle. He went peacefully in his sleep, unlike the passengers in his car. Sorry. That's an old comedian. Yeah, it is. Rowan Ginger says, sorry, Kate giggles. My brother is a very functional stoner, but would probably have bad anxiety without it. Yeah, getting over the anxiety is the worst part. It's horrifying. And like you said about the judging shit, right? The judging shit can be a part of anxiety. It's a paranoia.
Yeah, I mean, that's the irony of drugs. I mean, pot particularly. I never call it pot. I don't know why I just did. With weed particularly, because
I did.
It can, like you say, if you have bad anxiety, it can really help you cope with things. But also, if you stop taking it, that anxiety is going to be 10 times worse than it was before you started.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with modern strains. I mean, that's something they're having to learn now in rehabs, is how hard it is to come off weed nowadays, because of the different strength of the strains that are just a lot stronger, and they mess with your head a lot more than they ever used to. So
it's also like another thing is like you insecurity. It can be another form of the contributing factor when it comes to anxiety. And when you have something like PTSD, whether you have been diagnosed with it or not, it blows it up. And there's been days where people are out there going, why am I waking up? There's other days, I want to do all this. And like every day, everything's going fine. And then you'll slip like on the sidewalk and you'll get a little wet and shit. And then that whole buildup is gone within a second and you're right back down in that hole. It's...
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite that, but that's something I've noticed since coming out of rehab, is I go through phases of, I can be really productive for a couple of weeks. I mean, like 4 weeks ago, this room, I wouldn't have been able to sit in it. It was that full of fucking like a hoarder's paradise. And I got it in that couple of weeks to the status. I mean, these still need to go. Those bottom shelves need to go because they're not going to be used. It's just one chest of drawers on top of another.
Can you caress that shelf? Can you caress that shelf slowly for this chat, please? There you go. I'm just trying to get the smile showing there you go. I'll be clipping this later as a super chat called the Will Gentry special. Thank you, Will.
You're welcome.
Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, I had a couple of weeks where I basically sorted most of this out. There's a load of stuff we need to give to charity before I can move these into the other bedroom out of the way and blah, blah. And I did a load of stuff in the garden. But yeah, for the last 2 weeks, I've basically done nothing. And it's been like that ever since I got back. I'll have a couple of weeks where I want to do something and I'll get stuff done. I'll have a couple of weeks where I'm just like, oh, I just can't be arsed today. I'm just not feeling it. So it can wait till tomorrow kind of thing. So, but yeah, it's weird. So, okay, me using weed, but I'm a quitter.
So,
oh, what a reply there, Stephen.
I'm sorry. Kate Stone sounds usually, but not like quitting is bad. I'm sorry. I have to be a little bit, but
Can't resist, can you?
no, I really can't. And I apologize.
That's why I love you so much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I like being blunt. But so you're saying we've already gone through the fact that YouTube can be the addiction to dissuade the addiction.
Yeah.
And February was the point where you wanted to get clean.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to announce it to everyone on Twitter or everyone that you knew? Why did you make it such an outspoken thing?
Well, like I say, it's not something I was. The habit itself was not something that I was particularly ashamed of. Because, I mean, I've probably justified it to myself in all sorts of different ways over the years. But I sort of, like I said at the beginning, I sort of fell into it by accident. I accidentally found out how good it felt. It wasn't like I went out and wanted to do drugs. But I mean, nobody goes out and wants to become an addict, so that's neither here nor there. But I felt comfortable. It was something I was proud of. I hadn't done it yet, but I was proud of the fact that I was going to do it. And I think I knew that I would get a lot of people basically saying, good on you, I'm proud of you, well done. And I think, I don't remember consciously thinking this, but subconsciously I probably thought, I want that, I need that right now. I need all these strangers who I will probably never meet to tell me I'm brave. So
I don't think you're brave. I think you just want to evolve. I think you're tired of being in a place where you know there's more out there. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not trying to take away from that. I'm personal bias.
Yeah, no. It's always interesting to hear somebody else's view on such things. I mean, that's why it's a slight tangent here, but that's why in the second rehab I was in, which wasn't a 12-step rehab, every time they had somebody talking about a 12 steps, they knew that I didn't care. But I always sat in on those classes because I wanted to hear their perspective. I wanted to hear their interpretation because they might say something or have a view that I hadn't thought of that might make me think, oh, actually, there's something to this. So I'm going to walk along and have a look.
That's a brilliant discussion. But Chester has something for you, and I want you to read that. It's not really beers.
I don't get told, I'll be pissed.
It's not really for beers. He's gonna feed you beers and then make you clean out his PlayStation fans. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, I will be more than happy if I'm ever down there to meet up with you. But the first thing I will say to you is how disappointed I am that you used the term pissed instead of pissed off. We're not American, damn it.
I'm Canadian, no.
No, you are, but you still say pissed rather than pissed off.
Yeah, I will go back to this. Like, Terry, I know it's a struggle. And for me, it was music, like having just the iPod in and having my favorite tunes so I can focus on the beat and that will go towards my steps. Don't walk as fast as the beat because I listen to a lot of electronic music, so it'll be like 128 steps per minute. Just find something that helps you block out some of that stuff. And it's not easy, but
I mean, yeah, it's not. It's just something else they talked about in rehab. It's not easy to deal with anxiety like that. But the way you have to try and look at it is, well, really, what is the worst that can happen? Not what I'm afraid will happen. Not what is not what is the worst that can happen, but what is actually likely to happen. Because what's likely to happen is almost never as bad as what you're scared of.
It's the worst case scenario.
Yeah, it's the fear that drives it. So if you get anxiety, it's like a little ball, a little knot. And I've not got a handy piece of paper, but the way they described it is you've got that, and if you don't deal with it, if you don't deal with anxiety, you get anxious about it, and that adds another layer to it. So it just gets bigger. And then if you don't deal with that, it adds another layer to it and gets even bigger. And yeah, the way they explained that was like one piece of paper screwed up, then another one around it, and another one around it. And it's not easy. Nobody's pretending it's easy. But it's one of those things you have to. It's like with everything, I guess, and that's in the sort of mental illness side of things. Is you've got to find your own way to be able to cope with it.
Yeah.
And the same with getting off drugs or alcohol is you've got to find the way that works for you. Because what worked for me won't work for most people.
And it falls under the
what works for most people wouldn't have worked for me.
It falls under the uniqueness again. It's still human. Yeah. It's like addiction in itself is a human trait, and the psychodorph is brilliant about talking about that. Yeah.
Yes, it is. That's the whole point of it, psychodorph. The fear of a thing is always worse than the thing itself. I mean, you might be scared of going down to the shop. Might be absolutely terrified of it. But when you actually go out and do it and you get home, chances are you'll think, oh, well, that wasn't that bad. Yeah, I felt uncomfortable, but I'm alive. I survived. I didn't get eaten by aliens or fall down a big hole or whatever. So the monster closet. Yeah.
Staying alive.
I mean, no, go on.
Shay just says, staying alive, Fat Steven, or Spider-Man 3 strutting Togar with Fat Steven head memes or gifs would be funny.
Wow.
And Kate says, yep, I can barely handle working retail, but the stress from games made it easier to navigate. Are you saying I caused stress? I started retail. That's where I got over and was able to adapt myself. It's not easy. But, well, there's one thing I want to add. I know that's a lot of things, but
no, go ahead.
Where you are right now, are you happy how things turned out, and are you happy as the Will Gentry you are now?
I am happy as the Will Gentry I am, because, like I say, I always managed to hold on to my morals, and I was always very proud of myself for that. And I always knew that, yeah, I might be a raging smackhead, but I'm a good person. And I know for a fact that I'm a good person. It's a very egotistical thing for me to say. But I know for a fact that, yeah, I'm flawed, like everybody, but I'm a good person.
That's not egotistical.
Well, to describe yourself as a good person, it's a bit sort of self-aggrandizing, really. It's like that's the sort of thing that's more for other people to judge. You can just be the best that you know how to be. But anyway, so yeah, in that aspect, I'm proud of who I am as a person. As for happy, I am very, very happy that things worked out exactly the way they did, because if they'd have worked out the way I originally planned, I wouldn't have been here the night my mum fell down those stairs. So that's a reason to be happy that things worked out the way they did.
I didn't want to bring up your mom, but she's doing okay.
Yeah. I mean, she's still in hospital right now. Just still in a fair amount of pain. Just got a long, slow healing process.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be another 4 or 5 weeks maybe before she can come back here. So I've got time to sort out downstairs and basically turn downstairs basically into a sort of bungalow, a flat apartment type thing for her. So
does it bother you that she's there and you really can't do anything else but just make, like you say, the fort bungalow set up for when she does come home, and that just return her phone calls?
Honestly, no, not really, because she's in the best place she can be right now. Hospital is the best place for her right now, and I've got to a point where, I mean, I'm still not the best at looking after myself, but I can do it, and I'm doing it just fine. I mean, like I say, the cat's missing her more than I am.
Yeah.
So,
Paul Sorry about that. I have a bad habit of that. Polymies Minion says, that is why I stay in this truck. Because I have a dog, she makes me go out.
Yeah.
Your therapist is a four-legged friend. It still works.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Have a friend. Yeah, have a friend to drag you out and introduce you to the world for a bit. Hey, Taylor.
Hey, Tim. Sorry, I'm going to keep the consistency like Memes does. Hey, Tim, how are you doing? Because I never said Taylor. I've been calling him Tim now for months. But hello, and thank you for being a member. Gilkman says, you don't cause stress, Fat Steven. That's a lie. But yes, thank you.
That is a lie. He introduced me to Fortnite. He causes a lot of stress.
Hey, I introduce a lot of people to Fortnite, and they still come back every week to play with us. So, no, I don't cause stress. I've given.
Yeah, because we're all hoping to get carried by you in those squad games.
Motherfucker, do you want to get in that? I'm going to reiterate something here. When he's having a good game, he messages me. When I'm sleeping at 5 o'clock in the morning and I check when I wake up, there's messages going, that fucking rabbit killed me again. That fucking Rick killed me again. That Superman, I headshot him. And I'm waking up going, this is why I love gaming. Because you're getting messages from friends that had a great match and they're sharing it. And that's where it is. And dogs are the hey Ords, and there's Ords, you know, Ords.
Man.
Thank you for also being a member and a brother. Thomas, will you be doing these interviews with other people, Fat Steven? I want to make this a series. And the thing with Will is, like I said, I didn't want to make it sound like I'm trying to grift his story, try to monetize it for selfish value, but just talk as a friend to give hope to others who might have family or friends or people out there like their neighbor who are going through this. Will isn't perfect, like he said, but he is also a role model in choice because he decided to do something for himself that will, like you said, help your mom. It eventually panned out.
Yeah.
And we don't have enough of these stories. As much as I trash talk how it ended with my ex, I wish I could have done more. But the best I could have done is leave because they weren't going to do more for themselves.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people out there have a voice that they want to share a story, but it's up to them when they're willing to, and try to keep it as close to the person we're talking to rather than making it like a bunch of fart jokes.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's why, like I said, I'm happy to do this and I'm happy to be open about it because who knows who it might help. I mean, for all we know, somebody listening now might have a needle in their arm as we speak, and hearing this might be just that final little push they need to do something about it.
Yeah.
And that's all I can hope for. And like I say, I've got nothing to hide. I am who I am. What happened, happened, and there's nothing I can do about it. So why not, instead of being ashamed of it and hiding it, why not use it? Try and use it to make some good changes in the world. So,
Kate says trash talking isn't trash talk if they're that bad of a person or making bad choices. That's true. But sometimes all it takes is one individual to twist a narrative to try to push something, and that's the worst thing. And Shay, I'm not going to take responsibility for that, but I will say I did dedicate a day to him because I said I would. And Cohen says, I've never met a bad smacky. They're generally kind-hearted people that get trapped and hardened up to things around them while having a drug shell to hide their heart. And
yeah,
Will has a big heart.
That's one thing it can do. Is, I mean, even for me, it kills your emotions. Absolutely kills them. Because you're basically just off your face the whole time in a sedative kind of way. So anything you feel, I mean, basically for the longest time, the only emotions I ever felt were like the two most powerful, which are love and rage. They're the only ones I could feel for years because everything else was just numbed.
Yeah.
So, and that's sadly, that's why you often hear about heroin addicts like literally robbing old ladies, because they've got to that point where it's not that they don't care, it's that they can block it out.
Yeah.
They can basically turn it off for the time being, and if they're any kind of decent human being, they'll feel horrible about it afterwards. I mean, a mate of mine tried to do a handbag snatch in broad daylight one day, just because he was off his tree. He was out of his face, and he needed some more money. And stupid cat. And yeah, he ended up trying to steal his handbag off an old lady. A lovely guy, absolutely lovely guy. One of the nicest people I've met. But yeah, it can do that to you. What do you want, you stupid animal?
He says that, but he's smiling. Oh my God, that's not a stupid animal. Look how happy it is. Look, hold on. I'm gonna blow you up. Look at that. Look, it's well his pussy right there.
Smile at the camera.
What's the cat's name besides stupid cat? Look, it's literally closing its eyes because it wanted to be petted. Look at that.
Yeah. The cat's name, and I didn't name it. The cat's name is Mizzy. Mizzy. It was named by the kids of the person we got it off. But then the guy we know moved in with her, and he's badly allergic to cats, so she needed somewhere to take it, or to get rid of it to, I should say. So my mum took her in, and we've had her for a few years now, like 3 years or something, 3-4 years.
Last cat I had was named FC, and it stood for fucking cat, and that was my dad named it.
We had one called Spare Cat. Because
in case the other one gets run over.
No, it wasn't that.
I'm sorry. That was so heartless. But like, I'm going to shut up now.
No, that's not why she got called Spare Cat. It's because she, I don't know where she came from, but she went down into our cellar one day, found herself a little nest in there to give birth, and then got shut in there for like a week.
Yeah.
So by the time my dad next went down there, all the kittens had all died, and she was the skinniest thing you have ever seen. It was, oh God, it was like proper skin and bone.
Yeah.
But she survived, and she hung around, and she wasn't our cat. We didn't pick her out. We didn't fucking take her. So I just started calling her Spare Cat, and that became. Eventually it got shortened into Spaka, as in Spare Cat, which just became Sparky. So,
look, someone just paid $10 for your pussy.
Oh, hey!
I heard it purring too. That cat purrs loud. I heard that. Did anyone else hear that?
She just looked right past the mic. So she's on the table over here, and the mic's here.
I can hear that. Can anyone else hear that? Apollo Musminion says, I once had a cat named Miss Grumpy Fluffy. I could never say that. I was called GFP.
Oh, if you want good cat names, the ones I picked out, I called them Mickey and Mallory, because cats are natural born killers. So Mickey and Mallory was one of my favorite films at the time. That just seemed so fitting. And the one we had, one of Spare Cat's kids, actually, because she got pregnant again and had kittens. We ended up keeping one of them and gave her to the vet's receptionist, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We never really gave him a name, and I just kept calling him Sonny Jim Fella, my lad, and that just stuck. So he became Sonny Jim.
All right. Can I quickly give Brett Cohen something? And thank you for the. I really don't expect super chats for someone like this, guys, but I think we'll give him this one.
All I want is some sweet new balls.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, clean your ears out, woman. I want some balls.
I'm sorry. I love seeing that. So we're done that one. I heard the purr. Yep, she is purring. My cat's name was Sammy. My parents got her before they had me. She lived for 23 years. Damn.
That's old for a cat.
It is. Have you ever watched a parent try to put a cast back on a broken tail? I watched my dad do that once. He accidentally got the cat's tail stuck in between, the crack of the door and the frame.
Yeah.
It broke the tail. And a week after getting the cast, it took it off. So my dad had to hold it in between his thighs like he was like trying to get like the lid off a bottle of mustard. And he was trying to put the cylinder cast on back on the tail, and the cat's just clawing at his junk. And he was just like, I'm listening there going, I think that's not me.
Oh God. No, I would shut my cat in a door. When I was a kid, we had this one.
Yeah.
This cat that my mum forced me to give away. God damn it. That's an exaggerated joke. We left it with my nan when my granddad died, but it's a running joke between me and my mum about her forcing me to give a cat away and how much it traumatized me. But yeah, when we were down at my nan and granddad, they had this huge, big French window, huge like sliding glass door thing, and it was really heavy. So to shut it, you had to properly put some force into it and properly use momentum to close it.
Yeah.
And I was doing that one time just as the cat ran out, and she got caught right between it, to the point where my dad said it was actually quite funny because she was stuck there, front and back legs going, but she wasn't moving anywhere.
No.
But yeah, I mean, the rest of that day, I didn't eat for the rest of that day because I was just sat there in that window, just looking and waiting for her to come back. But fortunately, she was fine, absolutely fine.
All right. It's like reverse psychology night, and Jester Sin says with the 10 pounds, God damn it. It's great just to hear an awesome conversation. Carry on, our wayward sons.
Carry on, my wayward
You're not
son.
my real dad. That's what I feel like saying right now. All right, well, we'll make you choose the next one because we have Banana Raffle, Dragon Zord, Captain Murphy Impregnated, I'm Batman, Bruce Gets Nuts, the Skeletor stuff, Superman, Star Wars. I don't have Superman, sorry.
God, you've got spoiled for choice there. I think Banana Raffle sounds good.
All right.
You couldn't lead a monkey to a banana raffle. A leader needs funny catchphrases like, take it.
Like, take it.
Yeah, I cut it off. That's what I just like to take it from. But thank you, Jester, like another brother of the channel and of the gaming.
Yeah.
But have we covered everything when it came to your recovery, or do you want to focus on how it was through recovery?
Yeah, I mean, we've not gone into the actual rehab yet, the detox and that. But
No, but I remember.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you were there for part of it.
Yeah, I heard the Facebook messages. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking. I got in. Oh, I will tell the story.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, before that, the one bit about my usage that I feel guilty as sin about, and I am utterly ashamed of myself for, is I used to smoke crack, and that's just the setup to the story. But never seriously. Never seriously. What I would do is every week when I would get my benefits money, because I was getting money off my mum from a heroin.
Yeah.
I would get 70 quid every Thursday. And every Thursday I'd go to my friend's house, like in the next city over, go over there and spend it all on crack. And I did that for a few years, for 4 or 5 years maybe. And then one day I was like, why am I doing this? I don't really like it, and never touched it since, haven't even thought about it. But yeah, that's the setup to the story. Is the night my dad died in a car accident.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. It was a Friday night. I'd arranged for my friend to pick me up. We're going over to his house. I had a load of money I was going to score. Normal Friday night, just drug addicts getting wasted in some house somewhere. And as he was here to pick me up, my mum got a phone call from the hospital saying, maybe from the police, I can't remember exactly.
Take your
My dad
time.
had been in an accident. My dad had been in an accident, and he was being taken to the hospital. So my friend, I mean, raging drug junkie, still is to this day, alcoholic and junkie. Like I say, he's a very, very good man. He's just a fuck up. He offered to take my mum to the hospital, and she's like, no, it's okay. I've got some friends. They'll take me. So we're like, okay, fair enough. My dad was in a big car, like an SUV type car.
Uh-huh.
So we're like, oh, it'll be fine. It's a car accident. He's going to be in the bigger car. He'll be fine. So I went off with my friend to go out, and yeah, basically what happened is the person, it was a snowy road, and the person was a dickhead. and hit my dad's driver's door, which my dad died not on the scene, but on his way to hospital a couple of hours later because it took him a while to get him out of the car. I don't know the full details. I never found out.
I'm sorry.
It's yeah. Thank you. But the problem was that night. On the way, my friend got a flat tire. So another guy who I didn't know, but was the friend of this friend. It was after we got the flat tire that the hospital finally got hold of me because they'd rung my brother by this point with that fatal message, wrong fucking word, that terrible message of you need to come to the hospital now, which can only mean one thing, let's be honest.
Serious.
Yeah, well, it means dead. Yeah, life-threatening at least. So yeah, that's when my friend rang up this other friend and said, look, he originally rang him because he had the same make of car and said, can I borrow your spare wheel? And when he was on his way, that's when I got the phone call. So another friend, the one I've mentioned earlier, like my oldest friend, he's still my best mate now. What happened was basically this guy took me to meet my friend and then my friend and his mum, because his mum was driving him at the time. Because I think he was suspended from driving or something, I can't remember. They took us to the hospital. But on the way from my friend to my other friend, we stopped off and scored a load of crack, like a load. And I took that with me to the hospital, which was quite amusing because there's police all around and I'm there with like 160 quid's worth of crack in my pocket, just slowly giggling. And when I walked in to the room, the first thing my mum said to me, she looked at me like tear-struck face and said, he's dead. And my response was, yeah, I know. Because why else would they have called me there? If it was bad, it would have probably been my mum that called me, not an actual nurse saying you need to come now. And yeah, I remember. Yeah, it kind of hits me like a bus. That does. It's like I sort of deep down somewhere I knew it was coming, and when she said it to me, it didn't feel like a surprise. But yeah, you're still kind of sort of feeling a bit in shock. And I do remember my brother didn't, but they had his body in the room next to us. And they said, do you want to go and see him? And I said, yes. And I walked in and he just looked like himself. He had a bit of blood, sort of, I can't remember where. And he had a breathing tube down his throat. And I can remember looking at him and just thinking, shit. And I reached out and I touched his hand and it was ice cold. And that's the point that broke me. That's the point where I started crying. Somebody who was on a lot of heroin at the time. That's the point when I started crying.
It snapped you out of everything.
Yeah, I mean, that was strong enough to break through. I mean, the tears didn't last long. They were gone within a few seconds, but it was enough to like properly break through. But the bit that I am utterly, utterly ashamed of is that night, the friends who had took my mum, they took both me and my mum, brought us back here. And we got back home. I went upstairs. I started smoking that crack. And I didn't think about my dad once. That whole night, I just got fucking wired and I didn't think about him for a second.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Is it because you couldn't handle thinking about him?
I said this to my friend, one I mentioned a lot. I told him this story recently, and his response was, don't beat yourself up. You did what you needed to do to cope at the time. And I think he's right, to be honest.
The second question is, do you think you did it because you didn't want to think about it, but it was also your farewell to addiction at the same time?
Oh, I definitely didn't want to think about it because, I mean, he was my dad. He was only 58. He had 3 decades left in him. So I definitely didn't want to think about it. That much is true. Thanks, guys. So yeah, I definitely didn't want to think about it. That much definitely is true. But yeah, I mean, even so, even if it was like the only way I could cope that night, I still feel ashamed of it because it's my fucking dad. And I didn't think about him once the night he died, other than when he was right in front of me, because I was too busy taking drugs. So
You still feel like you disrespected his death? Is that pretty much what you're saying?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I didn't. I mean, the other side to that story is I didn't go to his wake, and that's the bit actually that does kill me. I mean, this was March. This happened, and the day of the funeral was bastard freezing. And we were all stood outside, just outside this fucking little funeral place, or quite big funeral place, because there was a lot of people went. He was a very well respected man, my dad. He's got 2 plaques, actually, 2 plaques dedicated to him, both at the same place, at the sailing club. But anyway, so yeah, all this like 300 people it was. What happens is they have the service, then they open these double doors. Like the person who's closest to, in this case, my mum, goes and stands sort of just outside. And then one by one, people come up and sort of offer their condolences. And then we go off to the wake. So waiting for like 300 people to do this. And it's an icy cold wind out there. And I was absolutely freezing. I just had on a jacket and a silk shirt, a black silk shirt and a black jacket. And that wind was cutting through me like you wouldn't believe. So on the way from the funeral place to the wake, I said, can we stop at home for a minute? I just want to go in, get warm. I'll come down later. Never went down later. Got home, went into my bedroom, started smoking gear. Never stopped. After about an hour, I rang my brother and said, how long have you been there? And he's like, about an hour. Do you want us to come and get you? I'm like, not just yet, in a bit. And then before I know it, the only people left there are like direct family, and it's like, oh well, what's the point? I can see them at any point. So that's the bit. Yeah, that's where the sort of selfishness of it that bothers me. But,
do you let that I have a quick 2-part with that. Do you regret not going there when you could have, and does it still hang over you now?
Yes, massively to the first bit, because I'll never get that chance ever again. That is the one chance I would have where the people would have been there just because of my dad. And they would have, all of them would have probably made a beeline for sort of me, my mum and my brother, because he's husband and father to us, obviously. And does it still hang over me? I still feel bad about it, but I've sort of come to terms with it. It happened. Like I say, there's nothing I can do to change it. I still feel kind of guilty about it. And actually, that reminds me, I'd forgotten about this. I said about 2 years ago, for my dad, what would have been my dad's 75th birthday, I want to try and get as many people together as possible, which will be September next year. And I can remember at the time thinking, right, that gives me 3 years to get clean. And also thinking, fucking hell, that's never going to happen. But it did.
You did.
So now I can actually try and do that, try and organise that.
I say you do organize that. But the one thing you do is you be the first one there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I want to do, is I'd want to organise it. Like, have it as basically a surprise to my mum, because she won't be planning on doing anything on his birthday. So, yeah. I need to talk to my brother, actually, about this and see if we can properly get it arranged and basically steal my mum's address book and try and reach out to everybody who's close to my dad.
He means borrow, but quickly,
Well,
Will, if you need a moment, let me know, just to, like, I don't know how this is affecting you, but I just want to offer that. But Taylor M, thank you for being a part of the Crisco course, says, Will, you are very strong to admit your story and continue to be strong, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's both those moments surrounding when my dad died that are the ones that I look back on with actual proper shame. I mean, there are other moments where I was just basically a complete, I'm not going to use that word, you told me not to.
Asshole.
Yeah, that's the word I was going to use instead. But a complete bastard to my mum, basically. Just because I was being selfish and I wanted what I wanted and I didn't care that it put her out. So I've got moments like that, but if she's still alive, I can make it up to her now. I'm making it up to her now. I mean, I'm taking care of her cat, God damn it. It's back there licking its arsehole right now.
Kate says that'll be a fun thing to do. I don't think she means defiantly. I think she means definitely. But I don't want to. I don't want to mansplain. But I have a question to ask for that, because I think a lot of people have gone like through this thing where they've done something that haunts them forever, that when it pops in their head, you get this emotional flashback of how fucking of an asshole you were. And it gives you that moment of clarity of that sometimes, as much as you're told you're a good person or think you're a good person, that moment makes you self-check an insecurity that maybe you haven't been that good person at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely that to it. I know fundamentally I'm a good person. Other people have told me I'm a good person, but they don't know my worst parts, and I know them all too well. So I know I can be a selfish motherfucker. I can be lazy. I can be a complete arsehole.
Mm-hmm. That's why we love you.
Thank you. But it's quite rare, and those are like my worst moments. So I mean, I think I'm lucky in that at the time when I did those things, I was so numb with drugs, I didn't feel any guilt or shame at the time. Well, no, I did a bit for missing the wake. But yeah, the night he died, no, nothing. So I can't really look back on it and think, oh my God, and just remember how I felt and like oh God, that's horrible. I can look back on it and think, oh, that wasn't very nice. I feel bad about that. But it's not that sort of, like I say, I feel ashamed of it, but it's not that sort of overpowering kind of thing that makes me sort of feel so guilty I want to go and drown myself in the pond or something stupid like that.
Well, I don't mean like that. But
well, no, you know what I mean. I'm exaggerating.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's like the fact that you're sharing some of this stuff. If you're on the opposite end, especially whether in the chat or like even like for me, man, it's
yeah.
How's your mom doing?
Yeah, it's
Amber. How's your mom doing?
It's a warts and all job. This is, mate.
Yeah.
She's doing okay, thank you, Amber. Still in quite a bit of pain. She's just healing slowly. But yeah, I mean, like I said to Stephen earlier, she's in the best place she can be right now. So although I don't like it, obviously I don't like my mum suffering.
No.
Especially at her age. She's in the best place she can be right now, with the best people taking care of her. So
Polyme's Minion says, I've been told I'm selfish all the time, and I would like to call bullshit on that. You have gone out of your way to creators asking them what do you like as a thing, and then you make them art that takes hours to make, and then you send it to them. You included your mom down to go see the Vegas thing. I don't think you're selfish, and if people are saying you're selfish, maybe it's because they're just projecting. I think you're one of the most giving people I have seen in my chat and other people's chat and channel.
Yeah, I think this is a slight tangent, but I think a lot of the time when somebody says you're selfish, it's because you won't do something for them.
Yeah, that's selfish. Yeah. you're right, because there are those circumstances where people are like, well, why are you being so selfish? I'm like, because I said no to you, but I've done so many things for everyone else. Well, what have you done as a person that you think I should give you something that either in my gut or I know your track history, I should just do it without question?
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to dictate that.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
want
it's all part of the like, I saw you do X for this person, so therefore you should do X for me as well, kind of thing. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way.
No.
I did that for that person because I wanted to.
Yeah.
You're not that person. The relationship I have with you is not the same as the one I have with that person. So it's going to be different.
Yeah. I don't think any of the people I've met on YouTube that I care about, you especially, Will, you're one of those people. Like, I've gotten to know you a lot more just over the last few months, and how your recovery has gone, is how you shared stuff. Like, there's other people in the chat as well. Is just you and people like Jester, Kate, whether you be Ords, Loki. It's not the streams we share. It's the after streams we talk in the back for hours in a Fortnite lobby or a StreamYard, sharing our insecurities or what's on our mind.
Being real. It's the being real, isn't it?
Yeah. That's been more family to a lot of us than our own family some days.
Yeah.
And I think that's the brilliance of YouTube. It's not what we're doing live, it's how we're connecting when we're not live. And you are a good person, and I want to give, maybe the chat does too, but I want to give my condolences to your family, your dad, and to you. And I think you're still doing him proud, even though you regret those things. Because look how far you've come.
Yeah. I mean, thank you. That means a lot. That does kind of tie into the bit I did say, the story I said I was going to tell.
Okay.
Because I took his, well, I didn't take it, but I got my mum to send his photo down to me when I was in that first rehab I was in.
Yeah.
And I can remember, I put it on the table next to my bed, and I can remember a number of times when I was just sort of walking out of that room, seeing it, stopping, looking at it and saying, I'm doing this for you. I hope you're proud of me. That kind of thing.
I think he is.
Yeah, I genuinely meant it. Genuinely true at the time. But yeah, I mean, it was weird because I never, well, like I say, it's sort of, this kind of ties into what we were talking about with him, is I never really properly dealt with him dying. I just sort of blocked it out, and it just became the norm. I got used to it, him not being here. I never went through, they say you've got the 5 stages of grief. I can't remember what they are in my head.
Like denial and
denial,
stuff like that.
All that stuff. Finally acceptance, I never went through that because this was still quite early in my drug days. This was like only sort of 5 years in. So I was still like properly affected by it, as in properly high a lot of the time. So I never really dealt with it. I just sort of blocked it all out, and blocked it out for so many years that by the time I got to the point where my head was clear enough, I never really, by that point, I'd got used to it, and him not being here was normal. So,
are you saying that the way you never dealt with it was your way of denial, and that literally pushed through all the other stages to the point where you're at acceptance now? Because it goes denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I didn't want to pull up the robot chicken giraffe thing because that's just messed up. But
I'm not sure if it was denial or if it was just the way, just numbness. Like I say, I mean, I might have dealt with all those things in my own way, but in a very sedated way. So I didn't really feel them. Because since I've got clean, I'm starting to like rediscover emotion. I'm starting to feel things again. I've felt sad when I've thought about him, but I've not had any of the sort of classic stages of grief kind of feeling. It's been more of that sort of, that sad you get years after somebody's died, like your grandparents died, and you think about it and you think, oh, I really like that. I really miss them. It's that kind of sad.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so yeah, I mean, like I said, I've had a few moments where I've felt a bit sad, thought about him. I have doing and what it'd take to do them, and how even though I can and I will do them, I'll procrastinate over it. Whereas my dad would be just like, right, let's get this done now. It needs doing. We'll do it all today.
He was your kick in the ass.
Oh yeah, he was very much that kind of person. If something needed doing, you did it, and you did it there.
See, quickly, Jester, Will, I'm gonna stop for a quick second.
Go.
Take a drink of tea, for God's sakes, bro.
Have a
sip of tea. Have a sip of tea. Do you need a refill?
Even if it wasn't, it'd be 2.5 hours cold by now.
Do you need a refill of tea, sir? We've been going 2 hours. Like we can give you like a moment. I don't think anyone has a problem with that. It's up to you.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense actually. I do need to get something to drink because my throat is getting a bit dry.
Are you guys okay with that? Quickly check because I'm going to quickly read what Gesture of Sin has to say. Is like the path behind us does not define us. It just shows us where to lead to what lead to here, where we are now. I think what is most important is just moving forward, following the path wherever it leads. I love the journey. But with that journey, you must not forget where we have been because those are the lessons that put us on that road to that journey.
That's the thing. It's your past defines you. In
right.
That led you to where you were. And yeah, that's what I laughed at.
I don't think he wants ass tea. I don't think he wants the ass tea tree blend. I don't think he wants that.
No, I'll give that one a pass, thanks.
But Will is a sweet tea though. But if you want to get tea, bro, I have no problem interengaging with the chat.
Yeah, I'll go and get a drink and come back in a minute or three.
We have. If you guys are okay with that, just put a 1 in the chat. Let Will get some tea and get himself research. He's given us almost 2.5 hours of his time. So just relax. He will come back, and I want to thank you, everyone who's popped in, popped out, who's just been here. Like, I'm gonna focus a little bit. I am nervous as fuck doing something like this. Like, I'm nervous with every interview. It's not easy talking about someone who has been through something like this because you're trying to not make it like a cloud chase. There's no cookies anymore now. But I want to say thank you guys for being here so far. I really do. Because doing stuff like this is not easy, and I want you guys to stick around until he gets back. We're at like the intermission point right now. And Jeremy Swiggs, I see you. How are you doing? Terry Wilkin, Brett Cohen, Zax, Gesture of Sin, Orsboards, Kashik the Muse, The Rock. There's been Kylock. I know Supreme Heretic was here. Taylor M, the Gilkman especially. We've had TD, Psychodorf 9, Kylock, Kate, Apollome's Minion. So many of you, Shay, anyone who's just been here listening or talking, like, thank you for listening to his story. This is not my story. This is just on my channel. I don't want it to be mine. It's his. Remember to be gentle. It's like losing your virginity. I don't think that's how it works here, bro. Will be right back. He's just making some tea. I wanted to give him some time. So for those who are just tuning in, stay tuned. You plan on staying? Thank you. But I want to give a special thank you to Zax, first of all, because Zax is the one who has been giving me little tidbits and ideas of what to do with interviews and stuff like that. And Will was one of them. And Zax has great ideas. Kate has great ideas. A lot of people have great ideas. But hello, you're back. Hello, you're back. Yes, I see that you Kylock. Just give us time. He's just going to get some tea. And thank you all for being here so far. I'm mumbling because I don't want to take away from this. You know what I mean? It's just like I love doing this. I love talking to people. I was a quiet kid through school. I didn't really get along, or I was beat up a lot. So having it evolve the way his has evolved with his own choices, YouTube has evolved me in the way where I can takes strength and making people laugh and asking questions and having conversation, because it's not that it's entertainment, it's more quality of life and story than we do in film. Okay, Shay, man, lunch, I'm going to get you on and make it very uncomfortable for you. 1 inch, several minutes. What the hell? You okay? The similar to getting colonoscopy while awake, 1 inch or several. What do you? What? Is that even Shay anymore? He says, "Sorry, my Wi-Fi sucks, so it didn't show." It's all good, bro. I'm just making fun. This is great. I think it helps. I hope it does help a lot of people who are going through those roads or trying to figure out where these roads go. Terry says this can truly help others. Terry, I think you've come a long way. You show up every day in the chat. You retweet. You help my channel. You might have a problem with social anxiety, but I don't see your anxiety when you're in the chat. I think it's not as formal as dealing with people in real life, but I think you've grown in your own way. But I'll say one thing: food is a great addiction. I love cheesecake. I don't know if Shay's drunk. Terry is incredible. Yes, she is. For those tuning in, yes, we are waiting. I don't have an intermission screen for this, but Will's just getting some tea, getting resituated. He's been here for 2.5 hours with me. Lighting up the mood. Yes. Nothing better than talking about someone's finger up my butt to lighten up the mood. And I will read this when he gets back. Hey, Will, thanks for your strength. Find me on Instagram. I'll make you whatever you like. I will definitely hook him up with your Instagram if he has one. He's also in our Discord, Polyme, so you can also tag him there. He brought it up. I'm just making light of it. Like, I don't want to take away from it. Don't leave, guys. Stay tuned. He is coming back. It's not done yet. But I think it's only fair he gets a little bit of time to refurbish, refresh, drain the lizard, just stay tuned. Yeah. Other than that, I can really go for one of those maple bacon burgers right now. Kylux says, I'll remember that minute 1 second. I keep forgetting to ask, but I think I may have asked before. But if you have a Discord for community peoples, yeah, I do. The problem is, just send me a message on Twitter and I'll send you the link. I just don't want a lot of people in there that. I think he's back with a big bowl of tea at this point. I don't think it's like a cup. I think it's like a bowl with a handle. Do you hear that?
Yeah, you can't have a maple bacon burger.
Well, I can't. I got it delivered to my house. What are you going to do? Hold me down?
If I have to.
Ladies and gentlemen, Will has returned. And, yeah. Quickly, Polyme's Minion for $10 says, Will, thanks for your strength. Find me on Instagram or message her in the Discord, like I said, because she's also there, part of the Stevie's Fridge Discord. And I'll make you a picture of whatever you want. Like the beaded picture she did for Az and Nerdrotic. She's doing one for me as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So she's doing the same for you. So like I can't see you as selfish when you really want to find something that someone loves and make it into an art form. Like you will. Those things you said, they always know who gave it. It was not Truck Dog. It's a Polyme's Minion who did it. And Polyme's, for that, I'm going to give you. Let's wake up the chat. Do not come.
Don't tell me what to do.
Not live. Oh, this ain't happening. And Jeremy says, squeeze the lemon. I think that's like another I have to make. Yeah. It is a Canadian maple burger. Yes, Max knows what I'm talking about. It's fantastic. It's literally like a maple barbecue sauce with 2 patties, bacon, and those crispy onions on a sesame seed bun.
Yeah, but Jester's comment below that is what just made.
I'm not reading that one, Jester. No, he's a mod. He should know better. I'm not acknowledging that one. But you're getting joy. Fine, Will. Fine. Look, he came just for Will. All right.
I feel special now, Jester. Thanks.
Like a short bus running on empty. I feel special. But Will, thanks a lot. And it's really hard doing intermission. Oh, can I come over? Why everyone wants to come today? This is really weird.
To be fair, you did all right. I was listening to it on my phone. Well, I meant to put I was going to put a song on. Children, actually, 'cause I still haven't turned that off repeat yet.
Have you stopped not listening to that?
No,
Oh, I mean, this is why I don't.
Yeah, I was going to put that on, but I forgot. I was listening, watching. I had the stream on the phone. So when I plugged my earbuds in, it automatically started playing that. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just keep listening to you then.
Robert, I'll get that remix that I did and download it, and I'll send it to you. And you can actually listen to it because
I'd be interested actually to properly listen to that. Yeah.
That doesn't cover it. That's a lie, Jester. I meant I came here, for this. You're full of shit, brother.
Yeah. That's an excuse if ever I heard one.
And Shay says, gallows humor. Cousin of mine lost her father after she got back from the Philippines at the age of 91. And no one was able to mourn him properly. Her mother is not handling things well. Well, my condolences, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's sad when things like that happen. I mean, that's the one thing that actually does bother me.
Yeah.
Is my niece, she's not really my niece. She's not actually my brother's daughter. My brother started going out with the niece when my niece was 6 months old. And they were together for a good few years. So in her formative years, like from sort of 0 to 5, effectively, he was dad. He was daddy. And he's been her dad ever since. She still calls him dad. But she's not blood. And one thing that does bother me is he's not going to have any kids now. He's older than me. Him and his fiance, they're both the same age, I think, and they're not going to have any kids. They're like 45 now. And that means if I don't, that my dad's direct bloodline is going to die out.
Bullshit. Sperm bank.
The thought of that does bother me. Even with that, part of the reason I want to do it is I got my dad. If I had a kid, they wouldn't get my dad, but they'd get me and they'd get what I got from my dad. Whereas a sperm bank, they wouldn't get anything from him other than genetics. I mean, the genetics are great. The man was a literal genius. He was fucking amazing. If anybody ever thinks I'm clever, you should have fucking met my dad. Jesus Christ. He's the kind of man who, I mean, I'm smarter than most people, but he was the kind of man who could explain literally anything to a level beyond my understanding. He had a brain like a bloody encyclopedia. Anything he heard, it stayed there. Literally anything. It just stayed there, never went. So it was, quite remarkable. So that's why I'd like. I mean, I'm fucking 43 already. But
you don't look it.
No, I know. I don't look it at all. I look like half the age I am. But I even got asked for the first time since I turned 40, actually, a few months ago. Since I got back from rehab, I actually got asked to prove I was old enough to buy cigarettes, which was quite amusing. Because you have to be 18 to buy them, but the rule is if you look under 25, then they have to have your ID. Yeah. So that's kind of flattering in its own way. But I mean, that does play on me a bit, that, because the clock's ticking on that. It's like, I mean, a sort of biological clock that, I mean, obviously it's more of a woman thing than a man thing, the biological clock, but it's still.
I don't think that's true. I really don't.
I think it's probably more powerful for them because they actually carry it, and it's literally a part of them.
See, some people think you're 30.
Yeah.
And you're classically handsome, keeps you young. Yeah. So drugs do make you look young in the future. So like there is, bad pretense right there.
I've said that so many times. The secret to looking young, I fucked on a heroin
or ecstasy.
Well, I can't give experience on that one.
I can. That's why. Shay says Larry King was fathering children before he died. Just need to find the right relationship. That's where it is. The right relationship. Yeah. The one that will accept you for you, no matter the problems or the rights. One that looks at you not as a judgment of what the future can hold, but the future you guys can build together. That's my biggest fear with love and getting married is that.
Yeah.
I want someone that accepts me for me. All of us want that.
Yeah, well, of course. And that can be hard to find. It's it can be hard to find that. So yeah, I know what you mean. Adele's single.
No, I'm not that desperate.
Hey, she's lost a lot of weight.
I know, and people criticize for that too. I'm like, wow, she got healthy, and everyone's hating her. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm afraid that every time like I roll over, I'm gonna hear her like singing "Rolling in the Deep," and I don't want to hear that.
Well, I could think of worse theme songs to have, especially in bed.
Like the Teletubbies theme song. That'd be kind of horrible.
Oh wow, that's just a whole new level of creepy. That is.
It is. It is. I'm sorry, but where would you like to go next? Because I know
Well,
we've
we
been through a lot.
basically
So.
just got to, in a roundabout way, we've got to the actual rehab bit, which they said that was a story I was going to tell. I don't know if you saw the video, because I
Which
did
one?
tweet it out. Because I tweeted out a number of videos when I was at rehab, but the one that got me thrown out. You see, the way they do it at the first rehab I went to, it's a 12-step rehab, which, if you don't know what 12 steps is, it's a method for getting clean and staying clean that was written by two Americans. One was a doctor, and I think one was a lawyer. But it was written in the deep South in the 1930s. It's a proper Bible Belt country.
That's
So
outdated.
it's heavy on religion. They claim it's not a religious thing, but literally 6 out of the 12 steps mention God. So like step 5 is basically pray your sins away. It's like fucking, if you're claiming this isn't religious, update it. Write it for the modern era. I mean, that's why when I was in that rehab, the only thing I read, and I never finished it and haven't picked it up since I got kicked out of there, was Russell Brand's book. His book Recovery, which is on that shelf somewhere over there, I think. There-ish. I don't know, somewhere. It's basically, he's rewritten the 12 steps in a sort of modern version of it. It's like step 1, are you a bit fucked? Step 2, could you be unfucked? Step 3, can you on your own unfuck yourself? That sort of Russell Brand kind of way of talking.
Yeah.
And it's very good. If you want to learn about the 12 steps in a more up-to-date and modern way, I'd recommend giving his book a read, because it's entertaining as well as anything else, because he's a clever guy and he's a very good writer. But anyway, this is it was a 12-step rehab, which is, I've since learned, is not for me. But the way they did it there was they had you every morning, you would write an inventory all about the previous day, and every night you would write a diary about that day. And then you would read them out in the group therapy, and everybody else there would get to give you their feedback.
Okay.
Now, this is wonderful when you're hearing positive things back. But when you're not, it kind of feels like you're being ganged up on by a group of people. And one of the pieces of work they had us do, because they had us do these 3 steps there. And the first of these steps, the only one I actually did, was basically, it was like 20 questions, and it was give a detailed account of what's gone on in your life. Tell us how much your drug use cost you, including potential loss of potential earnings. Give examples of times you've blacked out. Give examples of times you've lied to family. Give examples of times your drug use has meant you've let somebody down, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And because I never really had, you don't get blackouts on heroin, so I couldn't answer that one. I've never really let anybody down, sort of work-wise or anything like that, because I was never working. I never put myself in that kind of position. And I never really lied to anybody. It's only once or twice I lied to somebody, and that was back in the very, very early days, so I could barely remember it. Because since then, everybody who's known me has known the deal and known what's gone on and known what to expect. So I haven't had to lie or cover anything up or anything. So when I wrote this out, it was basically all about how I'd affected my mum, what my life had been like, and I wrote basically all that I could, which was a story of lost potential. And so it was a story of lost potential and somebody just basically being horrible to their mum, the mum who was doing everything for them. Which, I mean, I wasn't so much horrible to her as I was just sort of manipulative, you could say. In a sort of, I need money, give me money kind of thing. I demand money, I want it now.
Selfish recourse.
Yeah. And I read this thing out, which included a letter from my mum, and she got a number of things wrong in this letter, and I corrected a couple of them as I was reading it. And like the therapist there, I could see people around the room sort of rolling their eyes at me or making faces when I corrected it. And the therapist there said, stop doing that, just read it. And I'm like, yeah, but this is factually incorrect. What do you expect me to do? And then when it got to the point of everybody giving their feedback on it, I basically got, you're a liar, I don't believe you, fuck you, from everybody. Well, not everybody, but enough people.
Yeah.
Which is, it really, really bothered me. Because these were people I was starting to get to know by, so I've been there nearly 3 weeks. I was starting to get to know these people. And you live in each other's pockets for 3 weeks, you're going to get to know people quite well. So that actually hurt, that upset me, that they thought I was lying. And well, no, they thought I didn't care. What's what they said? They said, I think you don't care about your mum. And that really hurt me, because yeah, I've been a bit of an arsehole to her at times, but fuck me sideways, I love that woman. I would be screwed if it wasn't for her. She has done so much for me. So to have somebody who doesn't know me and who has done some despicable things in their time say they think I don't care about my mum is, yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, and it really upset me. And I was thinking about it later that night when I wrote it, or maybe the next morning when I wrote one of those things out. And I think what upset me was, and I wrote this down, I didn't mind that they insulted me. I don't care about that. They're a bunch of fucking junkies. I mean, bottom line, the people I'm never going to see again. I was other side of the country, this was. So these people I'm never going to see again. But what it felt like was it wasn't just an insult to me, but it was an insult to my mother as well. And that's the kind of thing that you don't walk away from. That's what I wrote down. I wrote that's a one-way ticket to a wheelchair. Because I was upset at the time. And you're told on these things to write out, if you're upset, write it down, write out how you feel, let it all out in the group, everything that's said in the group stays in the group, and blah, 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 blah. So when I read that out, like the morning after, the day before, I got a lot of, oh, fucking poor. Yeah, you couldn't fight your way out of a paper bag, and oh, that's just not necessary. I think you're lying about everything. I don't believe a word you say. Which made me angry. And that's the point when I went outside and went live on Twitter basically saying, you motherfuckers. Because the guy who said you couldn't fight your way out of a paper bag, he's a rugby player. And I'm just sat there thinking, are you a moron? Do you think I'm stupid enough to face you head on? You'd fucking snap me in half if you got hold of me. So I'm basically on this video, I'm like, hold my phone. I'm like, I said that. I said, the first thing you would know, you would never hear me coming. The first thing you would know is when the axe buries into your spine. So I vented my spleen on Twitter, and I'm sure some people saw it. And then I forgot about it. I'd vented my spleen. I'd dealt with it. I'd let it go. I didn't think about it again at all until first thing the next morning. One of the night staff comes in and says, "Here, I need to talk." And he mentioned this video, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay." And he's like, "It's out of my hands now." So I'm like, "All right, fair enough. We'll see what happens." And then, like, I don't know, half an hour later or something, I was walking past. There was like 3 of them particularly who were really close. And I was walking past them, and one of them just went, "I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to say it." And I went, "Oh, you fucking cunt!" And I'm like, "Excuse me." And then another one's like, "Oh, you fucking little bastard." And I was like, "Oh, Jesus, here we go." So I'm just sort of looking at them going, "All right, fair enough. You've got your opinion. Doesn't bother me." But yeah, what happened is then the administrator of said facility got called in, and it was decided that I had to leave. Which, to be honest, at that point, I didn't care. It had become clear that that was no longer going to be a productive environment. If I'm going to be stuck in there with people who, 1, think I'm lying, 2, basically think I'm, well, a dick, and 3, have seen me say, "I want to fucking bury an axe in your spine," or I didn't actually say that, but you get my point.
When that was made, was it out of anger because it felt like they were attacking the loyalty of your love rather than seeing the honesty of your words?
Yes. Yeah, it was exactly that. That's
you're
what made me
attacking
so
character.
angry. Yeah. It made me feel like, they were. I mean, like I say, I don't really care what they thought about me. They were no better than I am.
Yeah.
They were a bunch of people there for similar reasons. They all had drug problems. So I don't care what another junkie thinks of me. If they don't like me, then so be it. But yeah, it's like, I don't care if you hate me, but don't you fucking dare say that I don't care about my mother.
No one has the right to do that.
Yeah, you don't know me. You don't know me from Adam. The only thing you know about me is this one side of me that you have seen over these 3 very intense weeks of my life.
It's pretty much them trying to judge the level of your love when they don't understand that you can't judge the level of an emotion because you are not the person.
Exactly.
So I would be just as angry.
Yeah, I was fucking livid.
You acted in humanity.
Yeah, I was very angry, and I vented my spleen. Admittedly, I didn't do it in a very constructive way because I did it on the
not at all. No, but you did it.
I did.
That helps you.
I did it on the internet, and they went looking for something they didn't want to find, and they found it.
Kate makes a good point.
Yeah. They found something they didn't want to find, and they showed the people who ran the place. So let's just say an executive decision was made that I had to leave, which then became a fucking palaver because the people there, the actual inmates, as I'll call them, the other patients there, they wouldn't let me out of the building until I gave them my phone and my computer.
They tried to shake you down?
Yeah, exactly. They did.
Where were they going to sell it?
No, they had called the police at this point. This is 2 guys. One's a rugby player and the other's like a lot bigger than me. Painter and decorator, I think. These are 2 guys who I was absolutely no threat to whatsoever. But they rang the police and reported me for this video on Twitter. So, yeah, they're like, "We want your phone, we want your computer, we're going to show them to the police." And I'm just like, "That's theft. You're not having them." And they're like, "Well, you can wait till the police get here then." So I'm like, "Well, fuck you." So in the end, because you need my biometrics to get into my phone, so I gave them that, and I gave them the computer that's got nothing logged in on it, so there'd be no use to them anyway. And I just wanted to get out of there at this point, and I'm just like, fuck you, I don't care. But at the time, I was thinking, that's actual theft. You're not having my shit, it's actual theft. And then when it came to the moment, I was just like, oh, fuck it, I just want to get out of this building. Here, fucking take it. But I did think, I can't remember if I thought it at the time, actually. It might have been afterwards that I thought this when I was on my way home. I could have fucked their shit up big time. They got me I got charged with two things. Section 4 of the Public Order Act, which is basically threatening somebody, and malicious communications, because I did it on Twitter, did it online. So I got charged with those two things, which are both minor misdemeanors. They're just warnings, basically.
Yeah.
So as long as I don't do anything naughty in that, I was going to call it a state then, in that county, which, like I say, is on the other side of the country, so I'm never going to go there. As long as I don't do anything naughty in that county for the next 7 years, then nobody will ever know about it. But I could have charged them with hostage taking and extortion, because they wouldn't let me leave until they got my property.
Was this the staff or the two jackasses that felt like you hurt their
Yeah,
respectability, even though you're all in the same fucking environment to get better?
Yeah, exactly. It was those. Yeah, it was those two. Well, there was three of them actually, but only one of them. Only
So
two
Curly,
of them.
so Curly, Larry, and Mo.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, slap on the wrist, exactly. Yeah, sort of don't do it again, you naughty boy, kind of thing.
He was hoping
So, yeah,
for a spanking.
I could have, they were basically, they wouldn't let me leave until they extorted my property out of me. So they were literally holding me hostage under provision that I give them my property.
It was
So
Robert.
if I wanted to, yeah, if I'd wanted to, I mean, these people had criminal records. I didn't. I was perfectly clean. Never been in trouble with the police except for when I was 14, shoplifting, which is well clean off my record now, that is.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I wanted to, I could have made their lives so much harder than they made mine. But what's the point? They wouldn't have gained me anything. Yeah, it would have been funny. I'd have laughed if they had to fucking do community service or whatever. But I wouldn't have gained anything out of it. So
No, it would have deviated from the path you were on, which was
exactly. By that point, I'm just like, you're not worth it. I'm better than you. I'm going to deal with this in an adult way and just walk away. It's an unpleasant experience, and the best thing to do is just walk away.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I mean, the funny thing about it actually is they said, the reason they said they wanted my computer and my phone was to show the police, even though they downloaded the video in question and already shown it to them. And I'm just like stood there thinking, are you idiots? The police would need a court order to get into my computer. They can't just do it without my permission.
No, and there had to be an actual police call by the facility staff. It wouldn't be them.
Yeah.
The facility staff would have to call saying you were a threat or threatening someone's life, because you're literally it was what, uttering threats to cause bodily harm. That's an actual thing out here.
Yeah.
And then the second one is your online stuff. So they were playing on the provocation that you were fearful of police and were trying to manipulate you into giving them free hardware so either they could sell or use for their own personal gain just to smite you. That's what it sounds like. My opinion at this point. Hello, Cuber. You have a polar bear in the chat for you. People like that eventually pull on the wrong people in the car. Yeah, they do. And Zach says, for a threat to count, it as to be realistic, as in they would have to believe the threat. See, if they were actually terrified of Will, they would have just let them want him out of the facility. They'd be like, give me your computer, give me your phone, give me your PlayStation. That just sounds like, I just want your shit. I want power over you at the last moment. That's what it sounds like.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was, like I say, they said it was so that the police could have a look And I'm just like, well, you've already got the video that you want to show them anyway. That's literally the only thing.
It's online, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, by that point, I had deleted it, I think. Because I can remember thinking a bit later, just thinking, oh, that's a bit much, that is. I probably should delete that. So I did. I'd already deleted it before the police ever fucking knew about this. But they'd downloaded it by that point. So, yeah, I mean, like I say, I could have messed their shit up because hostage taking and extortion are a lot worse than a vague online threat with nobody named and nobody mentioned. So, and I mean, yeah, that's the one thing that actually bothered me is whilst these people were basically all crowding around the door and saying, "You're not fucking going anywhere, bitch," there wasn't a staff member to be seen. None of them. Nobody was there doing anything. I mean, the woman who ran the place day to day, she was actually there in the building at that time, but she was fucking hiding in the office like the rest of them, just letting it happen. And that, looking back now, that really bothers me. Because they just let it happen. They let basically, I assume they did it. I mean, I can see sort of a reason for it. They did it because they didn't want there to be they wanted there to be as little upset and can't think of the right word, but as little sort of upheaval as possible after I left. So they didn't want to get involved.
You want the least amount of obstacles. Yeah.
But that, I think, is a disgusting way to act in a place like that. I think that's absolutely disgraceful.
Can I ask a question now? With any of those 3 people that were trying to keep you from leaving without giving your material possessions, were any of them from a family that was wealthy or some shit like that?
Yeah. One of them was a very, very rich man.
And maybe the whole pretense is that the staff could, I'm saying this allegedly, but maybe the staff had their fingers in a pie that gave them free will, and they were only in that facility to show that they were getting help when not. Like, we know how celebrities are, and I'm not saying that's even the case, but it sounds more like if the staff is nowhere to be found, it sounds like prison game. It's like, oh, everyone leave the lodge room. We're going to beat up Rat Jimmy over there all of a sudden. We're going to take his butt plug for some reason. We don't know why. We just want it because the police are coming.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was that sort of thing. Yeah. I mean, I deleted it and they were upset about 2 things. Those, I did a load of sort of live streams while I was in there on YouTube.
Yeah.
They were upset about that because in that I'd mentioned a couple of names, like just first names and a couple of, I think I'd mentioned that the one about the lad who went upstairs and saw that gang incident.
Sorry, I am so sorry.
Telephone.
It's Oprah. She wants your story. Sorry.
Well, she can't have it. I think I'd mentioned his first name and that he'd witnessed that.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah, they were upset that I'd done X number of hours of live streaming and there was this Twitter video. So, yeah, they were upset about that, and I totally forgot the point I was leading to there. Which I'm quite impressed. That's the first time that's happened in this stream, which for me is rare.
I'm sorry.
No.
We here at FAT-STEVEN Enterprises take full responsibility of fucking up Will's sentence, and we don't take any responsibility that no Crisco was involved in this mishap.
I don't know. I think.
Hello. Yes, we see you, Cuber. We see you there. Yes. That sounds fucked up, bro. Like I think I missed that part about the whole shit, man. But like I remember being on a 1 or 2 of your live streams when you were just talking and you're sitting on the bed and
yeah. Well, that was in the first few. Most of those were in the first few days when I was just in my room, going through the actual detox, and I wasn't feeling so ill that I couldn't move, which I was expecting, and I was just feeling a bit edgy, a bit lonely, a bit shit. And I wanted to talk to my friends. So I fired up YouTube, fired up StreamYards, just got talking to a few people. And it was lovely, to be honest. a chance to talk to people. Yeah, a few people come in, people I've not really spoken to before. I have a chance to talk to somebody like Stephen Moulton was one, even fucking Gary Nerdrotic came on for a bit. Got a chance to talk to these people. I had to spend some time with old Fatty here. So yeah, it was really quite nice in its own way. But for some reason, yeah, these idiots got upset about that. I think because, like I say, I think I mentioned one of them's name. I can only remember. I mean, I might have mentioned more. I don't remember. But the point is, yeah, I permanently deleted all those videos off YouTube, and I did it in front of a staff member. So there was actual sort of proof, as it were, that they were gone forever and it could never be refound. So, because yeah, this is the point I was getting to, is there was nothing. There was no chance of anything being shared again because it had all been permanently deleted by that point. So even if they were worried about that, it was just pointless because there's nothing they could do or nothing I could do. Even if I wanted to share it again, I couldn't. So
it sounds like maybe they were there on secrecy rather than, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it was like trying to keep hush hush stuff, and I don't know, that sounds fucked up.
well, I mean, I think to be honest, it was a bunch of people who think, yeah, I'm a fucking lad, yeah, don't mess with me. Got upset that somebody who was like half the size of both the people who pressed charges talked about the fact that he'd happily hurt them, shall we say. Which, I mean, I'm not a violent person at all, but I wouldn't lose a second's sleep if I did hurt somebody like that.
We here don't condone violence.
No.
This is all allegedly thoughts of that's
Yeah,
I'm trying to just make us parental advisory.
I do not condone violence at all, and my views do not reflect that of MasterFat Theatre in any way, shape, or form.
MasterFat Theater, brought to you by 4K. That's right, we have 4K carrots.
Nice.
I'd be in the same kind of thing, dude.
As Cuba just said, om nom nom.
I don't think you eat laptops, but dude, I think you did it right. I think honestly, it was them acting out of. No one has power in those places, so what they do, they think that you're the weakest person there, and they try to get as much out of you.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that bothered me was the staff there didn't even try to deal with this. They didn't even try.
Night, Terry.
So, sweet dreams, Terry. Yeah, they didn't even try to deal with it. They didn't talk to me or anything. Like I say, one of the night staff basically asked me what happened and said, I've seen this video. I know what you said. This is out of my league. This is out of my control.
Mm-hmm.
Then another one of them, who was really nice, actually, just came up to talk to me. It was just sort of, how you doing? Is there anything we can do? I'm sorry about this. But at no point did anybody say, right, come on, what happened? How do you feel? Let's talk about this. Let's try and get to the bottom of this and get past it, or nothing like that. Nothing at all. So
the fact that no one was there, usually with those type of places, right? The staff is there to make sure you pack on time and get you out as quickly as possible, because there's always someone waiting for those rooms right away. You even said that. So the fact that there was no staff there to escort you, watch to make sure you didn't take any of their actual stuff, get in and get out, sign papers or whatever, means something in that system sounds fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. This is the Priory, which is effectively our equivalent of the Betty Ford Clinic. It's like the big one. It's the one people know.
Mm-hmm.
And all I have not heard anybody say they had a good time there. Everybody I know who's been there has said it is horrible. I would never recommend it to anybody. and I wouldn't. No chance in hell. The second rehab I went to, however, I'd recommend that to anybody.
What was the
you'll
second
have to
one?
you'll have to have a lot of money to get there, but well, for both of them actually. I spent nearly 30 grand on it, for God's sake. So yeah, I mean, basically what happened is I got kicked out Saturday morning, and I'm on the other side of the country, literally nowhere to go, and they just said, get out. I'm like a 4-hour drive away from home. What do you expect me to do?
Jesus.
Yeah, and I never got an answer to that question. So in the end, what I had to do was ring a long distance taxi, which ended up costing me 350 quid to get home. So that was a bit of a pisser. But considering what had gone on, I'd have rather spent that 350 quid to get home than stay there for the next week. Plus, we got our money back for that last week, so it's not all bad. But
No.
3.5 grand back.
And those idiots are probably still there trying to go for the next weak person they assume is weak, and they probably got shipped. Not saying that happened. This is allegedly folklore. But it doesn't matter the size of the opponent. Ever.
Yeah, this is an urban myth.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it so yeah, I got, like I say, a Saturday morning, had to leave. So I got back up to Sheffield, back up home, God, I don't know, mid-afternoon or something. And my brother graciously said I could stay at his house for a while because I didn't want to come back here. Although I felt okay, I felt fine. Luckily, that last day, that Saturday, that was the last day of medication of my detox. So I'd had all the medication I was going to get from them. Beyond that, it was just vitamins and stuff that they were giving us. So in that sense, I will always be grateful to that place for giving me the environment to actually detox. So, oh my God almighty. Well, that's a conversation stopper, Shay. Fucking hell. Yeah. So yeah, I'll always be grateful to them for giving me that environment to actually do my detox and get cleaning. Because up until that point, those last 2 days, I actually had a lot of fun there. I mean, there was one guy there, particularly a guy from New Zealand, who I absolutely loved. He was amazing. And that's my one regret, is I never got a chance to get his phone number. But yeah, I got back up home, back up to my city. And my brother said I could stay at his house. So when I arrived there, the first thing I see is my mum, and she looks absolutely dreadful. I have never seen her looking
like
so
pissed
sad.
off? Or
No,
just like,
worried.
about you?
She was
'Cause she loves
so she was so unbelievably worried and scared and just worried about what was going to happen. So the first thing I see is like her face looking like I have never seen it look before, and I'm like, oh, no, that's bad. And she said, other than the night my dad died, that's literally the worst she'd ever felt that day.
She didn't want to lose you too.
Well, yeah, I think she was worried that it would mean basically going back to using drugs again. Because the plan was I was going to go from that place to another place, a sort of a sober living place, where they reintegrate you back into like a proper rehab. Because I mean, these places, they're called rehabs, but they're more like detox, 4-week detox. And I was going to go to a proper sort of rehab place which you can stay at for up to a year, and they properly like feed you back into society.
Mm-hmm.
The plan was to go onto one of them in like another city right down the south coast where that one was. Obviously that didn't happen. So yeah, my mum was obviously really worried about it, and I'm just like, just don't worry, I feel fine, it's normal.
Was it a halfway house?
It's that sort of thing, yeah. they call it sober living. It's basically, yeah, you've got to stay clean, you do regular drug tests, but they will help you, like a halfway house for people coming out of prison, sort of working their way back into society. It's like a stepping stone, getting back into society. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. All this was private. All this cost a lot of money, so it would have been good in that sense. But yeah, I mean, the trouble with rehabs is it's all about the people that are there with you. The second one I went to, the people who were there were an amazing bunch of people. I loved them all. So it was a far different experience to the first one, where right from day one, it was... Actually, yeah, I forgot. That was what started it all. That's what started everything bubbling under the surface, was the first day out of... Because I did the first 5 days in my bedroom doing the detox. The first day out of that, the rugby player wanted to watch a Six Nations game, a rugby game. And at the start of that, they had a huge "Say No to Racism" campaign thing going on. Yeah, that was my response exactly. I was just like, oh, for God's sake. And they're like, what? And I'm just like, well, racism is not a problem. Meaning, racism is not the problem they're making it out to be. We live in the most open and tolerant society the world has ever seen. But all they heard was somebody saying racism is not a problem, therefore you're a racist. So I think I got judged pretty quickly by a couple of them there. The two actually that called the police. I think I was judged very quickly from then and was fighting an uphill battle with them ever since, in all honesty. But so yeah, I mean, I think that's what started. And then, like I say, with the whole, you have to read out what you wrote about how you felt that day, and then get feedback that you're not allowed to give feedback to. So effectively, you feel like you're getting judged.
Yeah,
it's effectively like, I mean, that's what I've heard other people say, is they're sort of pitting people against each other, which is fine when it works well and it's a group who are all supporting each other. But when it's not, it's
do you think in a way? Sorry, I'm going to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I've finished. Go on.
Oh, do you think in a way it was supposed to be a format of teaching you that sometimes you have to take life how it is and you have no say in it?
Exactly. That's the idea behind it, is you've got to learn how to hear the truth, and you've got to learn how to accept that you can't control what other people think and say, which I can't control what anybody else thinks or says. They can think and say what they want, but that doesn't mean it's not going to bother me. And to think it wouldn't bother somebody is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Because it's that unfair thing again. It's like no one likes being told or being put in a position where they have no control over something. They have to sit and watch.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, especially when you have to sit and watch people talking about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I say, it's a sort of, it's one of those environments that can go either way. On some days it was amazing and I came out of that therapy room feeling great, and on other days I came out of there wanting to so
make a Twitter post, so to say.
Go live on Twitter. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, I got back to my brother's house and I basically just chilled out for a week. During that week, I did a load of Narcotics Anonymous meetings online and quickly learned that they ain't any good for me. Because it's a lot of addicts and people who want to get clean, talking and supporting each other, and that I can get on board with. But when you're fresh out of rehab and you're going on this meeting and there's a number of people there saying, oh, I'm doing really badly, I scored last night and I think I'm going to score again today and I don't know what I'm going to do, and you're just sitting there thinking, I don't want to listen to this right now.
No, because it triggers your want.
Yeah. I don't want to hear that you went and scored because you had a shit day. I'm having a really shit day and I don't want that thought in my head, thanks. So yeah, I quickly learned that those meetings weren't for me.
They're impersonal.
Yeah. And while I was there, I was trying to find another place to go. Like the place I said I was planning on going to after that rehab. I was trying to find a more local one of them. And I rang up the drug misuse team in Sheffield, the ones who are oh so useful that I mentioned earlier.
How Mr. Sheffield?
Oh.
Look, you're getting propositioned by both sides of the coin today. Like, you know,
Hey.
maybe adoption and sexy husbands in your future too. Sorry, Shamus, I didn't mean you're going to be the husband. I didn't mean to use you as that provocation.
Hey, I'll marry Thomas. He's a beautiful man.
Oh, he is. He also has free liquor up there at Wazoo. Because
Now I'm interested.
we'll do a bachelor follow-up later on.
Nice. But yeah, no, I was trying to look for a place closer to home that was like the one I was planning on going to. And I rang the Sheffield drug team and said, look, is there somebody there who can just give me this? Because I looked online and I couldn't really find anywhere fitting. And I knew there must be places around here because Sheffield's a very big city. It's like the 4th biggest in England. So I said to them, is there somebody who I can come in and see and they can give me a list on a piece of paper, I should say, of places I can ring to talk to? And he's like, oh, I can't do that. That'd be giving you specialist treatment. I'm like, eh? Like, well, I can't let you come and see somebody because then you'd be queue jumping. I'm like, I don't want to see anybody. I just want somebody to give me a list. Just give me a piece of paper with a list of names written on it. And he's like, oh, well, no, we can't do that. You need to go and try talking to these people. So I'm like, oh, thanks, mate. You were really useful. One thing he did do was he gave me a name, which is the name of the recovery group that I go to currently. And he said, try them. So I rang them, and it turns out that a friend of mine used to go there, and he'd sent me their link saying, "Here, this you might find this really useful." But at the time, I wasn't anywhere near getting clean, so I'd never even looked at it. So I rang them. I rang this guy who runs that, and he said, I might know somebody who can help you. So he put me in contact with this other guy, the guy from Sheffield who ran a rehab centre in like a city in the north, or a seaside town up in the north. He said to come to us, you have to be fully clean, even of sleeping pills, which I was using something to help me sleep at the time because I needed it at the time, frankly. And I've always said to the doctors at the first rehab, I can worry about sorting my sleep out later. Right now, what I need is proper regular sleep while I'm going through this detox. And they're like, yeah, I agree with you. Here, take this every night. I hope it helps, kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, getting something else to help me sleep was a palaver. I had to ring my doctor and tell him a bullshit story. This was when I was back up in my brother's. Anyway, yeah, this guy said you need to be clean of even sleeping pills before you come to us. So what I can do is I can put you in this other rehab for 10 days just to do that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, fair enough. So he put me in touch with this other rehab place and they said, oh, yeah, you can come down tomorrow. So I'm like, okay, nice one. Works for me. So I went down there. This was a place about 2 hours away instead of 4 hours. And it was amazing. Michelin star chefs, wonderful staff, quite young staff actually. And the group of people there were just, there were some amazing people there. I mean, one guy who's like, he's not allowed to go to America because his family is like, his brothers are major gangsters in Manchester. There was like a wonderful bunch of people there, and they were all really great people. They really were. And just the whole environment felt different. Plus, I'd already literally just been in a rehab, so this was like, it was kind of like familiar to me, so I sort of knew the whatchamacallit, knew the way things work, knew the system. And I was clean at the time, so I was basically on top form, as it were. So immediately everybody realised that, yeah, I knew what I was talking about and looked up to me in a way that people hadn't in the previous one. So the whole environment there was night and day difference.
I think it made you start realizing that the environment matters as much as the people
Yeah.
to have a self turn. And quickly,
Yeah.
I wanted to throw this in there for you. The Gilkman says, I have to say I have a lot of respect for Will for being able to go through rehab and not go back to what brought him there. He was also able to tell people about what was going on. And their follow up was, I wouldn't be able to do any of that. I have to call bullshit. You might not need to go to rehab, Thomas, but you do speak from the heart and do a lot of those streams. So much to the point that you feel like you say too much sometimes. I think a lot of us wish we would do that and be a lot more open. And I think you have a lot of bravery in yourself.
Yeah, it takes a lot, Thomas, for somebody to have some of the streams you've had, talking about mental health, talking about the things that have happened to you, the things that have happened in your past, some of which are horrible. And you talk about that openly, and that's no different to what I did now. I'm talking about the horrible thing that happened to me, which was drug addiction, openly, and you've done the same. Yeah, it's a slightly different story because we're different people, but it takes just as much self-courage to talk about openly. And
not everyone can. Sorry, but I agree. Not everyone can just whip out their balls, lay it on the table, and go, "This is who I am. This is how big they are. Deal with it."
Yeah.
Sorry for the bad reference, but yeah, that's it.
Well, no, it's true. I mean, that's basically what it is, isn't it? It's laying yourself bare, and that's I mean, both you and I have done that, Thomas. So don't belittle your own courage there, my friend, because it takes a lot. I mean,
Sorry, didn't mean to disrupt you.
There are certain no, it's fine. There are certain more sort of mental health issues that I haven't talked about as much. But I mean, I don't know. I've not been through it, so I don't know. But I don't know if I'd be able to talk about the sort of thing you talked about if that had happened to me. I don't know. It'd have to happen for me to find out, and frankly, I hope it doesn't. But yeah, so you've got as much courage as any of us did. But yeah, it's the environment, as you say. Like I say, the first rehab was a 12-step program, and the 12-step program it's worked for a lot of people, like millions of people. So I'm not going to knock it in that sense. But what it basically is, 12-step program, is it's a quasi-religious sort of commandment on how to be a good person. And I don't need some religious wishy-washy bullshit to tell me how to be a good person. I mean, there are things in it I don't like. It's like the whole thing is about you get power by giving power away, and all this sort of stuff. It's God, what's the other phrase they use? Yeah, you gain power by surrendering. It's like, I can kind of see what you're trying to get at, but I'm not surrendering. I surrendered for 20 years to smack. I'm taking control is what I am doing. So my way of looking at it just does not align with 12 steps at all. And like I say, the first rehab was proper hardcore 12 steps. But the second one, which is much more like this group that I go to, recovery group that I go to, Nothing to do with the 12 steps, not in the slightest. What they did was they had sort of they called them lessons each day, where somebody would basically, one of the therapists would talk about an aspect of addiction or recovery or detox or whatever, or like the cycle that you go through, that all addicts go through. And you can find it online, the cycle of change. It's sort of pre-contemplation, contemplation, then. So you get from the point where you don't even think you've got a problem to, I've got a problem, but I don't want to do anything about it, to, all right, I need to do something about it. All right, I need to plan this, to actually doing it, to actually maintaining it. And it's just this big circle that you can jump on and off at any point.
Wait, so
I could go into detail about it, but that's not for this.
No, you're making sense. And one day you might actually have to make a video of how you actually can explain it better.
Yeah.
Kate says letting go isn't surrendering, and people don't understand that or conflate that.
Yeah.
Brett says, I find that quite cultish. Here's your Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I mean, letting go and surrendering, yeah, they can mean the same thing in certain contexts, but on their own, separately, yeah, they're entirely separate things, entirely different.
I can give an example of letting go is when I farted on stream a couple days ago and everyone heard it. Surrendering means
that's
surrendering. I'm sorry. I'm going to delete that comment.
Surrendering is when you accept that you needed to change your underwear after doing that.
Or surrendering the mute button before it happened.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I say stupid shit sometimes. And I'm not trying to take away the power, but thank you, Kate, for the wow. But
yeah, wow.
Zach's no problem. And Huber says, I wonder if people get as hooked on the program as they are on the substance they're trying to kick in. If they replace it for for another thing without actually dealing with the actual addiction that's causing it, yeah, that could happen.
I was about to ask Brett what exactly you meant by quite cultish, and yes, I agree.
Go ahead.
NA. No, he said he answered below. The NA, Narcotics Anonymous. It is quite cultish, yes. Because if you go in and you don't do things their way, if you don't follow their strict rules, you will get judged. You might not get openly judged and told you're being judged, but you will get judged. So that's another reason I don't like AA and NA.
I'm sorry. Except if you're in an elevator.
And thankfully, we don't have bears here, so I haven't had to experience that one.
Not yet.
Yeah, but I mean, although talking of bears, I think that one of the videos that still makes me laugh most is it's that one where basically the precept is childbirth is nothing compared to getting hit in the balls. When it can bring a grown-ass bear to the ground, you know it hurts.
Oh,
and the video is of this bear doing something, and basically this thing just whips back and smacks him full pelt in the balls. And you just see this bear sort of staggering around on the ground, trying to get up, and it's just, it's hilarious.
Oh, man. I'm sorry we got a little derailed with that. I'm sorry. That's all my fault. I'll take responsibility for that.
Hey, we need a good laugh every now and then. That was one of the differences. That's one of the differences. At the second rehab, we had a laugh. At the first one, we didn't really. But even during the lessons, even during these lessons that they did, we had a laugh. There were constantly people joking, and I was constantly making cracks, and people were laughing. It was fun. They made it fun. Whereas at the first one, it was all very serious stuff. And I mean,
it sounds robotic.
I thought about, it does. It's very, very rigid, very set in its ways. It's quite cultish, like Brett said. Because Priory is basically AA NA run, effectively. It's the same program. So yeah, it is quite cultish and very rigid and set in its ways. Whereas the other one is new; it had only been open 2 years, and they were much more laid back about it and made it fun. So I thought about this about learning the other day. It's like, why do I remember some things and not others? It's like, well, if you entertain me while you teach me something, I'll remember it. But if it's just a cold, sterile lesson, then it'll go straight away.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this second rehab, like I say, they did lessons on teachings on sort of recovery and what leads to addiction, how you can recover from it, what the pitfalls are, potential triggers and things like that. And it was just a whole lot more interesting because it was stuff, I mean, for me especially, because it was stuff I knew about anyway. I knew most of it. So, I mean, that's the thing about rehab and recovery is it's mostly just common sense. Like, if something triggers you, avoid that thing. If a person in your life is bringing you down or trying to bring you back to drugs, stop talking to that person. It's basically all sorts of simple things like that that are pretty much common sense, but in the moment can be hard to spot. So, yeah, I mean, that's why even at some, I love this recovery group I go to. There's a wonderful bunch of people, but some of the lessons that they have, some of the teachings, I'm just sort of sitting there rolling my eyes thinking, even a fucking moron should know this. But I mean, one of the reasons I go is to give my input because I can help explain certain things. So, I mean, I've had people there say to me, I love when you say something because you can always put into words what I'm thinking but can't articulate. So I can help to sort of clarify because not everything is clear when you hear it from those sort of NA books or AA books. So I can help you to sort of bring it into more focus and clear it up for a few people.
Do you ever think of when you're done with your if and when you're done with your program, you might actually become one of those counselors at a facility like that and do what they have done for you?
I could do. I very easily could do. It would be something I would be very good at.
You could. Have you thought about it?
I have thought about it, yeah. I've not done anything about it yet, but I have thought about it because it's something I can instinctively do anyway. I mean, without training. I mean, I can't just freestyle talk like the guy does, but even without any kind of training, I can basically do the job that the guy who runs this recovery group does. Because I know it all. It's just a question of talking through it and explaining it and saying, have you got any questions? And then answering it if anybody does, which
has. Yeah, sorry.
Sobriety, yeah, if you're with the right group of people, AA and NA, I think give them out. But I'm not sure if you just get them or have to make a point of asking for them or pay for them or I don't know.
Just call it Will Gentry's Fortnite Camp to Sobriety. Every year you get 5 V-Bucks. Good luck, sucker. Even Kate says something. You should. Even small steps towards it now. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, the trouble with that is it takes, to be able to do it as a profession, it would take either experience or training, neither of which I've got right now. I've got the real life experience, so I've got the sort of knowledge in that sense, but I've not got the qualifications, basically, be it through on-the-job learning or like schooling. So I'd need to do that, and the school year, I mean, it's just about to start, so I wouldn't be able to start in this September. So it's something that, yeah, I mean, I might think about starting or looking into seriously for sort of next academic year, if that's what it takes.
But your mom comes first and making sure she can take care of herself before you can do any of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's one of the things, because when I first came out of that second rehab, I was properly on the high and was like, yeah, there ain't nothing I can't do. I've got the intelligence to do literally anything I want. I just need to go and do it. And yeah.
There might be a volunteer system. Kate has a point.
Oh, there is. Yeah, no, they've got, thing is, it's a very small group, that is. So they've got a number of people on the books as volunteers, but basically the only volunteering they've done in the few months I've been going is shake buckets and ask for donations at a football match. So I think I'll pass on that one. Thanks.
Okay.
It's not my style, shall we say.
You'll find it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's something that when I first got back from rehab, I looked into it online. I was looking at different options, and I was thinking, right, I need to contact these people. I need to contact these people. Just ask them, see what's going on, see what the deal is. Then never did it. Then got depressed about not doing it. Then thought to myself, well, what? Stop being a fool. You don't need to worry about this right now. You've got bigger things to deal with right now. You don't want to jump in like too deeply into the deep end, as it were. So just take some time, chill out, get used to living life sober, get used to being normal. Worry about that first, and then if you want to, you can follow this up in a year's time.
I'll remind you in a year then.
Yeah, and now there's my mum. Yeah, I've got to worry about more right now.
Yeah.
We're
getting close to the 4-hour mark. Will, is there anything you haven't shared that you wanted to share, or have you gotten most of what you wanted out? Like this hasn't felt like 3.5 hours. It really hasn't.
It hasn't. Well, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Just about having a chat.
Yeah.
It never feels like as long as it is when it can free flow like it has done. Because, I mean, we've not had any points where it's been like, so who's going to say what now?
No, Kate's done that for us with the wow, whether it be like a fart joke or some weird stuff like that. So
We've had a couple of conversation stopping moments, but it picked up again straight away. So
yeah, I'm good. I hope I didn't cause any disrespect with that, because I always really want to.
No. I know you wouldn't do anything consciously to disrespect me ever, so, or my story or anything like that. So, yeah, don't worry about it. I knew what I was getting myself in for when I agreed to do this.
Oh, what the fuck does that mean?
I love you so much.
I honestly wish we could have done something like this in real life at a bar or over like chicken wings or something like that, and just that's the reality of things. I wish was been great, but like I wanted to like share something of mine, and like I know this has been about you, and I shared partial story with my ex and the whole drug habit and the pregnancy thing. It cost the life of my twins. She was doing drugs so bad that when she told me, she put the decision on me to get the A procedure done. I'm not going to say the word because that's probably a flag somewhere. But I told her we had to, because she's been doing drugs for so long. We don't know what type of effect it would have had on them throughout. It could have ended in miscarriage. We got the procedure done. I took a day off work. And on her way home, after she was still morphined up, I started getting a little emotional about it. And she threw a fit on a public bus full of kids getting home from school, yelling at me that I wasn't allowed to get upset about it because it wasn't inside of me. I had no part in the life that could have been. It was none of my attachment to it. And that's where I realized that the relationship was dead from this point forward.
Yeah.
So addiction fucks up not just the person who's going through it, but the people outside.
Yeah, it really does.
And I thought I'd share that just to be on even playing grounds. I'm not trying to steal people, but like...
No. I mean, that's the whole thing about it. It's sharing, isn't it?
Yeah. Jester says, you guys have been great, very insightful. This has been all Will, man. I'm just happy he wanted to just do it with me.
Did you just say she?
Share. Sorry. Stutter. I'm glad to see Will is more than an avatar than occasionally shared on John Talks. No, he plays awesome one. He plays a lot of Fortnite with us, like in the morning streams. He does.
Yeah.
I know that's something to be proud of. Yeah.
I do now that I've given in and accepted my shame and played the damn child's game.
Oh, for fuck's sakes. You criticized us in the chat calling it a child's game. Next thing you know, you're like, you motherfucker, I can't stop playing this. And I know a lot of people want to say that, but like it's the people you play with sometimes. It's like your own therapy
Yeah.
group, and maybe in a way
Well,
it's
I mean,
maybe good.
it's like I say, it's a game I'm using to relearn how to play games because I haven't played for years, and it is quite simple. Let's be honest, and it's fun. It is a lot of fun, especially when you win. So,
Or when you're
but
yelling
yeah,
at the floor.
motherfucking child's game, and I hate it. But
He
I do
says
have to
that,
play.
but I got DMs to say otherwise. And Brett Cohen wants to say, thank you, Will, for sharing, and thank you, Will, for creating a space to have this conversation. You're welcome,
You're
but
welcome.
thank you, Will, is more like it. Like, this is his story. But I hope we can do this with more people in the future. I hope Will continues growing the way he is now, because I think more people that watch us in the future or just listen, I hope it inspires them to reach out to people that they might know are going through this. And it just takes small steps like Kate said, whether it's a podcast, a live stream, or just shooting the shit with a friend across the pond,
Yeah.
just not being able to give a hug at the end of the night.
No, you can send that ghost hug meme as often as you want.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Taylor says, Fat Steven, that was a strong talk about and keep being strong. That's all we got.
Yeah. No. Oh, and I forgot to say it at the time, but I'm sorry, dude. I'm really sorry.
Oh, what?
Your twins.
I've accepted a long time ago.
Yeah, no, I know, but still.
No, I appreciate it. Like, they would have been the first twins in my whole family line. She tried to contact me years later after we broke up, and my response to her was in capital letters, "What the fuck do you want?" And I think she got the hint then. And this isn't about me, Stephen. You are not the first one I have heard the experience you went through. Only difference is the guy I know has a viral video of him crying and is a celebrity. I don't share it because it's this. That wasn't the point. I brought it up, and the hardest part is that my family don't even believe it. They think I abused disability. That's another story for another time. Maybe Will interview me on that. But Will has given a lot more of his soul than a lot of people ever give themselves of. And like, this ain't easy, bro. You got a lot of courage. You got enough courage just like Thomas does. For those in the chat that even were listening, contributing, I want to thank you guys, you girls, whatever you polar bears, your jesters, whether you're a Rowan, you're a Ginger, or you're a Raven. Y'all have made this great. Thank you.
Or all three at once.
Or all three at once. Yeah. I just it's never let the experiences or the shit you go through mark you as a person looking for sympathy. Try to dignify it as a way of showing that you can grow from it, and it has developed you to who you are.
Yeah.
Because those are the steps of life.
Yeah, I mean, that's, like I said sort of early on, is that's one reason why I've been so open about it, even from before I actually did get clean, is I'm not ashamed of who I am. And yeah, I've been through something. I mean, I've been through a few things. And one of them was, let's be honest, entirely self-inflicted. I mean, there are reasons and causes behind it, but it is entirely self-inflicted. But I'm not going to be ashamed of it, especially if me talking about how shit it's been for me. Because I mean, I didn't even really go into how shit it's been. And I could tell you some stuff that would make you want to cry, but that's shit I'm not going to share openly online. If that can help other people, even just slightly, then I'm more than happy to give it. And yeah, it's.
I love you, man. You did good.
You too.
Thank you.
In an odd way, it's been a pleasure.
I think it's been a great pleasure.
Yeah.
Still was nervous at the beginning because the last thing I wanted to do was to fail you, Sharon, and fail like the fact that it was turning to something else. A Canada meetup, yeah, get me out of fucking Canada. But I can't. Like Will has to take care of his mom. I'm the only one here for my dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And silly comments are still comments. I don't think
Hey, yeah,
I can't do this without you.
listening is the most important thing. And making silly comments to let us know you're here. And like I say, laughter is important, and having a laugh. That was the difference between a good rehab and a bad rehab when you boil it down. I mean, the people who are there make a difference as well. But laughter is a huge difference because when you're laughing and having fun, you're feeling good, you're taking things in. Whereas if it's all dry and sterile, all you want to do is just get out of there. You're not really learning anything. You're not taking it on board.
No.
So,
it's one ear out the other.
Yeah, a bit of laughter interspersed. This has been quite serious, a lot of this. A bit of laughter and a few jokes interspersed have been good.
You're breaking up a little bit. Hold on. Let it catch up.
Bloody internet.
Nah, bloody YouTube at this point.
Yeah.
But
silly comments are great.
Huh?
Silly comments are great. I love them.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I want to know if anyone left in the chat had any questions for Will. If Will's okay with that, we'll use that.
Yeah.
And if not, we can wrap up now. Oh, I did get my burger, and I got a refund because he fucked up half of it, and I ate that. So, yeah, thank you. Yeah,
so
baby.
You disobeyed me. What you're saying is you disobeyed me, and I need to put
No, I got the maple bacon burger. I had to put it in my mouth and eat it all. Laughter has been the best medication. It is.
Yeah,
Honestly.
it is.
Yeah.
You do heal a lot faster when you're feeling good.
The endorphins.
Yeah.
But other than that, all right, well, I think it's time for us to wrap up if no one has any questions.
Yeah.
Gaming stream afterwards? Really? Are you asking for a gaming stream?
A game stream.
I don't know. I wasn't chewing through the interview. I was literally, I wasn't even chewing. I just took bites and swallowed. Don't fucking put this shit on me now. Was I chewing?
No, awesome one. I just know quite a lot about history because it was my favorite subject at school.
People want fork knife, really? What the fuck?
Fork knife. I've still got a couple of hours left in me if you want to.
And I guess we a little bit. All right, fine. Then we'll set up a game stream in a little bit. Stay tuned, and I want to give a special shout out to my members. My members, you guys have supported a lot. Thank you. A little bit. You guys heard oh wait, that's the chewing. You heard the chewing a little bit. God damn it! Fuck you, Mike. You betrayed me. You fucking betrayed me. Okay, say that burger was fantastic. I inhaled that shit. But okay, let's put it this way.
Yeah, no, I once saw talking of inhaling food. It was an eating contest, and there was this woman on there, really quite a slender woman, really.
Yeah.
But she was amazing. She would literally just put a mouthful of food, take a drink, swallow it whole. Didn't chew a single thing. It was like I've never seen a sight like it in my life.
Now I know it's on your internet history. I fear for Pornhub. Yeah. Okay. No, I'm not looking at that face. No, that was just like I know what's going on here. But let's add it this way. Look, guys in the chat, ladies in the chat, polar bears, however you identify as, 1 for a game stream after, 2 for no. That's about it. Let's hear it before we go. Because right now my main goal is trying to get that Battlefield shit going for this month. I'm not making any swallowing jokes. Kai, look, if you apologize one more time for not being here, I will never acknowledge it again. You don't have to apologize. YouTube is always here. Real life is always first. And anyone who thinks not being there, when there's a fucking replay button, you'll never hurt any streamer's feelings. Any streamer that thinks they are offended because you couldn't be there on time, shit happens, bro. 3, oh wait.
Real life always comes first ahead of even this sort of thing. And if you're in pain and you're lying down hoping that ibuprofen works, then you've got nothing to apologise for, dude.
People are asking for a game stream, but it's almost 10 to 10 p.m. But what the fuck is with 13, 42, and 3? What the? Oh my god!
It's
This is why I love these guys.
It's your friends, Stephen.
Not by association. I can't prove anything online. My bowels move a lot. What? Sleep for me, but do what you gotta do. Thank you, Taylor, for being here. Now, I'm always sorry for calling you. Okay, now we're just doing phone numbers from songs. Forbidden Rune wants to have 69 for some reason. I don't think that's gonna happen on this camera.
Yeah, not on this stream at any rate.
I'm not pretty enough for Will.
Well, it depends which direction you're facing.
Jenny. Life happens. That's agreed. All right, if there's no game stream tonight, tomorrow morning, fuck it, we'll do Fortnite or some shit. Like, we got that new quest to knock out. Maybe. There's no Buttered this week. I really don't want to. I need vacations and spacing out stuff, but I'll be up for a while, so I'm down for anything. That's what most hookers in Vegas say. Yeah. Will, thank you for your time, brother. Like, honestly, thank you. I don't think this could have gone any better or worse.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. It really has.
It really has.
Like I say, I'm happy to talk about it, and especially in such an easy environment, just basically having a chat with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been great. Really
I will state this: like, I want to do more MasterFat stuff like this, and it doesn't have to be something serious about the way Will shared all his stuff. But I know they're in creative. I can make a private server. Don't do this stuff now. But if you guys want to come on ever and do a one-on-one with me and have another episode of MasterFat, reach out to me in DMs on Twitter. Comment on this stream. I like talking and get to know people. And awesome one.
I would highly recommend that you do if you want to.
Yeah.
There isn't a better place for it.
Thank you, Will. I'm going to have to clip that and use it as an intro. Bless Will. And he's not two people.
What?
Oh, God. I like when Kate plays with Stevie. Who ate all the chocolate? What is going on here? Interview Jester and his band about his band. That's if Jester's ever ready. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are signing out the night. We're going to give you a little thrust. And now we're going to give you the outro.
I'm running out of time, 'cause I can see the sun light up the sky. So I hit the road in overdrive, baby. Oh, the city's cold and empty. No one's around to judge me. I can see clearly when you're on, and I said, ooh, I'm blind to lights. No, I can't slip until
And a shout out to another member. Thank you for being one. Spirian, I didn't know you were looking in the chat, brother. Hope your computer's fixed.
Oh,